Hello, everyone, and welcome into the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Today, we come to you live from Consol Energy Park in Washington, Pennsylvania for Game 3 of this three-game series between your Washington Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers. Hi, everyone. I'm Zach Ziegler, taking you through all the action here in the 2016 season for your Washington Wild Things. Wild Things came back last night and were able to even this series up with a win. They won 2-1 in last night's game. We'll have a recap of that one for you. Also coming up here on the Washington Wild Things pregame show, our Wild Things sit-down today features reliever Devin Davis. Davis came in yesterday with one man out and the bases loaded and shut the door, striking out the only two men he faced to pick up his sixth save of the year. Davis will talk about that and how he has succeeded on the mound this year for the Wild Things. Also going to have the lineup and the pitching matchup for you. It's all coming up right here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Now, last night, as we said, the Wild Things pulled out the victory as they defeated Schaumburg in Game 2 of this three-game series by a score of 2-1. Wild Things got on the board first. Right away in the bottom half of the first, Andrew Heck lined out to start things before Chris Grayson flew out. Then Ricky Rodriguez came through with a solo home run over the left field wall. It was Rodriguez's sixth home run of the year. Your Wild Things took the early lead. It was 1-0. Dave Popkins would single with two men out, and Jimmy Yezzo would hit no fielder's choice to end the inning. Schaumburg would get on the board in the top half of the fourth. Argenis Alvazaro single to lead things off. Then Kenny Towns would walk. So there'd be runners at first and second with nobody out before Mark Nelson struck out. Then Mike McClellan came through with an RBI single. Alvazaro came around to score, and that made it 1-1 after four innings of play. As after that, Michael Hill grounded out, and James Keller would pop out in the bottom of the fourth. Wild Things would go 1-2-3. So after four, game tied at 1, going to the bottom of the fifth, still tied at 1. Andrew Heck flew out to lead things off. Then Chris Grayson came through with a solo home run, his third home run of the year. That gave the Wild Things a 2-1 lead. Ricky Rodriguez would then single, and Dave Popkins popped out to end the inning. 2-1 would remain the score throughout, but the top of the ninth was very testy. Andrew Wick came in looking for his fifth save of the season. He walked the first man he faced, Mark Nelson. Then Derek DeYoung would come in to pinch run for Nelson at first base. Then Mike McClellan would fly out, getting robbed on a very nice running catch by center fielder Chris Grayson. That was out number one. Michael Hill, then a ground ball back to the mound, and Andrew Wick's throw to second base went into center field. It was a two-base error. Michael Hill to second, and Derek DeYoung over to third. So it was second and third, one man out before James Keller would walk. Paul Crowenfeld hitting for James Keller walked, and that would be it for Andrew Wick. Devin Davis then came into the ballgame. Big situation. Bases were loaded with one man out, and he struck out Nick Oberg and Tobias Moreno, his 40th and 41st strikeouts of the season, and that gave the Wild Things their 40th win of the 2016 season. In the contest, Brandon Bixler did not start the game, but picked up his first win as a Washington Wild Thing, going 3 1/3 in the ball game, giving up no runs on 3 hits, no walks, 3 strikeouts. Took him 40 pitches to get through those 3 1/3 innings of work. The starter on the night was Christian Powell. Powell ended up getting a no decision. He went 4, gave up 1 run. It was earned on 3 hits, walked 2, and struck out 1. 56 pitches for him on the night. But Brandon Bixler, the story of the night, making his Wild Things debut, had previously pitched in the Minnesota Twins organization. The Wild Things picked him up, and he shined in his debut for Washington last night. Those 3 1/3 scoreless innings, looking to get him off to a good start in his Wild Things career. Then Devin Davis, the 2/3 of an inning in a big spot. Bases were loaded on his birthday with one man out, and he gets a very good birthday present, striking out the only two men he faced and giving the Wild Things their 40th win of the year. With the win, the Wild Things improved to 40-41, and because the normal Corn Belters lost in last night's ball game, the Wild Things are now just 1.5 games back of the normal Corn Belters for that second wild card spot. So it's going to be a race down to the final week of the season as your Wild Things try to secure that last playoff spot. There is one team in the Frontier League who has secured a playoff spot, and that is the Southern Illinois Miners. They have secured their playoff spot. They have the best record in the Frontier League as they lead the Frontier League West. Their record sitting at 55-28. The Joliet Slammers currently hold the second seed in the playoff race as they lead the East Division. Their record at 44-38. Then the top two wild card spots, as we said, Evansville holds the top, 46-36, and then the normal Corn Belters sit at 42-40. There is one team ahead of the Wild Things in the wild card race. It's the River City Rascals. They're one game back of the Normal Corn Belters. They sit at 42-42. Then your Washington Wild Things a game and a half back at 40-41. So this is a very big game for the Wild Things, as those Normal Corn Belters are taking on the Southern Illinois Miners again in Game 3 of their 3-game series in the Corn Crib in Normal, Illinois. So if the Wild Things can pull out a victory and the Southern Illinois Miners can handle the Corn Belters, we could be just a half game back of that second wild card spot after today. But first, got to get business done here against the Schaumburg Boomers. We're going to take our first break here on the MSA Sports Network and the Washington Wild Things pregame show. When we come back, we're going to have our Washington Wild Things sit down with reliever Devin Davis. Davis getting his 6th save of the year last night and coming in a very tight situation, able to tightrope the Wild Things out of it and have them pick up the victory. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
AAA members enjoy 24/7 roadside assistance, exclusive member-only discounts, expert travel assistance, free identity theft protection, and much more. With that AAA card in your wallet or purse, you have the peace of mind, safety, and security that only AAA membership can provide. Already a member? Don't forget to renew. Not a member? Join AAA today at any nearby office or online at AAA.com. AAA, we're always with you.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network. You're listening to the Washington Wild Things pregame show. Currently joined by Wild Things reliever Devin Davis. And Devin, got your 6th save of the year last night, coming in a really big spot, bases loaded with one man out. What's your preparation in the bullpen coming into a spot like that?
Honestly, it was a little kind of last minute when I got the call down to get going. And I assumed that if a lefty came up or if it got into a tight situation, I would be thrown in there. So I was really just down there in the bullpen just trying to throw as many pitches in as short of a time as possible so that my arm was as ready as it could be. But yeah, I mean, I honestly don't really have a lot of preparation. I just try to get my arm loose, and I mean that's the most important thing, is making sure my arm's ready.
And coming out last night, you had the bases loaded, but in any situation with runners on base, really, what is it like to come out there knowing you have those guys on as opposed to coming out in a clean inning to start an inning?
I mean, I really doesn't faze me either way. I kind of joke about this, but it is true. A lot of times I don't really like to know where we are in the lineup. I honestly don't really care what the score is, what the situation is. I mean, I'm aware of it, but I mean, I don't think about it, because regardless of the situation, my job is to get the batter that is, in the box out. So, I mean, obviously, yesterday, trying to keep it in the infield, you don't want a deep fly ball to score a guy, but I mean, at the end of the day, my job is to try to get the guy that's up out, and I just try to take it one batter at a time, and by doing that, regardless of the situation, it's never really too much for me because I'm not really focused on it.
And now I want to go after the fact. You strike the last guy out. What's the first thought going through your head once you guys got the victory?
Well, I've actually struggled against Schaumburg a lot this year, so to be honest, I was very relieved that I finally had a good outing against them. My family was here. They came up. It was actually my birthday, so yesterday was. So I was like, wow, I mean, that was a pretty good birthday present, I guess. My family's been out here a few times this year, and they've seen me throw a total of to one batter. So I got to double the batters from my family. It was on my birthday. We won, so I mean, can't really complain. I was pretty happy.
Currently joined by reliever Devin Davis. And Devin, can you talk about watching Brandon Bixler last night making his Wild Things debut? Went 3 1/3 scoreless. What did you see from him out of the bullpen, and how'd that help you guys out?
It's nice when you have a new guy who can go out there. We added another lefty, which is always a good thing. He's kind of funky delivery-wise, which I mean, I'm not very normal myself, so I kind of like watching a guy who's a little different out there. He came in through strikes. Watching him in the bullpen, we were all commenting that he's got good stuff. So it's nice to see that it all worked out for him. And I mean, anytime you're on a new team and you can get that first outing under your belt and have it be a good one, hopefully we'll really start a a string of good outings for him to help with this playoff push.
And talking about that funky windup, you're one of the faster guys on the team. We actually talked about this over the road trip at breakfast one day, but can you talk to the guys at home and tell them what the key really is to being a quick worker on the mound?
Yeah, when I was with the White Sox organization, there were just I used to be a human rain delay, as people call it, and I just had coaches and teammates all telling me like, "Hey, man, you need to kind of speed it up a little bit." And then we ended up having a pitchers meeting with all the guys that were in Arizona at that time, and our pitching coordinator just said. He said that as a pitcher, you should be on the mound waiting for the batter, not the batter waiting on you. So ever since I heard that, I really made it a point. Like I might not have the best stuff. I'm not going to throw the hardest or, things like that. But the one thing I can control is to just be the quickest one to get the ball and throw it. So I think it kind of makes hitters uncomfortable, and I really just try to out weird the hitter.
And finally, Devin, what are the keys for tonight? Game 3 of this 3-game series. You guys looking for the series win here against Schaumburg. What do you have to do out there today?
Just continue the good pitching that we've had. Hitters have been coming up clutch lately. I think we've won 8 of our last 12, so hitters are putting runs on the board. The pitchers have been doing a good job holding it down. Bullpen's been strong. So if we can score early, that is always huge to get the momentum. And then just hold them off and don't let them come back.
Thanks, Devin. Good luck out there today.
Thank you very much.
We'll be right back here on the MSA Sports Network.
How does a 120-year-old company like Henderson Brothers keep up in a world that changes every minute, that keeps throwing curveballs, that flaunts new technology, that demands responsiveness? The answer is simple. With expertise. We insure the most successful corporations in the area, and they in turn recommend us. And for that, we're grateful. Henderson Brothers. Expect an expert.
Hi, this is Hines Ward. If you're a high school sports fan, the place to go all year round is the MSA Sports Network. Log on every day to www.msasports.net for the schedules, the scores, the standings, the rankings, and of course, all of the broadcasts includes exclusive Whitfield playoffs and championship action. Anytime, anywhere, always there, the MSA Sports Network.
Enjoy shopping and dining at one of Ohio Valley Mall's 100 merchants, including Boscov's, MC Sports, Hibbett Sports, Pat Catan's, Christopher & Banks, Men's Warehouse, and many more. Check out the new Buckle Store. And coming soon, Buffalo Wild Wings. If the little ones need a break, head to the Kids Zone, sponsored by Ohio Valley Medical Center and East Ohio Regional Hospital, your community hospitals.
PA Leadership Charter School is a proud sponsor of the Washington Wild Things. POGS is a tuition-free online public school for K-12 students. POGS can help your child hit a home run in their education through flexibility, student-to-teacher interaction, and socialization opportunities. Go to POGS.org for more information. Go Wild Things!
PA Leadership Charter School, lead, don't follow.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Ready for baseball here tonight in Game 3 of this 3-game series. Your Washington Wild Things are on the field right now. They align like this defensively. Outfield left to right, Andrew Heck, Chris Grayson, and Dave Popkins. Left side of the infield held down by Ricky Rodriguez and Austin Warbrock. Right side by Grant Fink and Jimmy Yezzo. On the mound for your Washington Wild Things tonight is Matt Frodden. Frodden being caught by Kyle Pollock. Frodden so far in the year, record of 6-6, a 3.03 ERA, appearing in his 17th game, making his 16th start. Has thrown 95 innings of work, giving up 34 runs, 32 of those earned, on 83 hits, struck out 83, and walked 36 so far in the year. The lineup he'll face for the Schaumburg Boomers looks like this. They'll lead off with their center fielder, Tobias Moreno. Batting second at second base, Jordan Dean. Hitting third in left field are Henny Saldazaro. Batting fourth at third base, Kenny Towns. Hitting fifth in right field, Mark Nelson. Batting sixth at first base, Mike McClellan. Hitting seventh, the designated hitter, Michael Hill. Batting eighth and catching, James Keller. And batting ninth and playing at shortstop is Nick Oberg. On the mound for the Schaumburg Boomers, Scott Schultz. Schultz enters this one with a record of 4-5 and a 5.18 ERA. Frodden's warm-up pitches are done on a beautiful day here in Washington, Pennsylvania. The sun is shining, couple clouds in the air, a nice cool temperature outside. A perfect day for baseball. Stepping to lead things off for the Schaumburg Boomers in this one is their center fielder, Tobias Moreno. Moreno so far in the year hitting .235, no home runs, and 1 RBI in his short Schaumburg Boomers career, playing in only his 5th game as a Boomer here today. Matt Frodden on the mound has his sign. He's set. Looks into Kyle Pollock, and the first pitch on the way. And Moreno takes this one low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. First pitch thrown today at 5:06 p.m. Eastern Time. And the temperature outside, 72 degrees. First pitch time and temperature brought to you by State Line Grocery and Hotspot. The 1-0, and Moreno gets this one down. Frodden off the mound to field. Throws to first, and that's in time for out number 1. 1 up, 1 down for the Boomers here in the top of the first. And that brings to the plate the second baseman, Jordan Dean. Dean so far in the year hitting .253, 3 home runs, and 31 RBIs. Matt Frodden on the mound leads the Wild Things in wins with his 6 on the season, 6-6. Had a good outing last time out. Trying to continue that good string of outings here today. Last time out was against Traverse City. Went 6 and gave up just 3 runs in a victory. First pitch here to Dean. That one's outside for a ball. 1 ball and no strikes. Frodden, a guy who's going to get his strikeouts in 95 innings of work this season. Matt Frodden has already struck out a team high in 83 batters on the team. Here's the 1-0. And that one's a called strike, hitting the knees. Count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. For Jordan Dean at the plate, was an all-star for the Schaumburg Boomers this year. Represented the team as the teams played in Florence, Kentucky. Here's the 1-1 from Frodden. And that one's low for a ball. Count now going to 2 balls and a strike. The one thing Frodden struggled with in his last couple times out are the walk numbers. He has walked 5 in each of his last 2 outings, so going to try to limit those walks here today. Here's the 2-1, and that one's low for a ball, so right now he's behind 3 balls and a strike. 1 out here in the top of the first. No score between your Washington Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers. Game 3 of this 3-game series. Wild Things looking for a series win today at Consol Energy Park. Frodden has his sign. Here's the pitch. And that one's low, ball 4. So a 1-out walk puts a man on base for the Boomers with 1 out. And brings to the plate the left fielder, Henny Saldazaro. Saldazaro so far on the year for the Schaumburg Boomers. A very short Boomers career to this point. Saldazaro hitting .247, no home runs, and 4 RBIs. A lot of new faces on this Schaumburg Boomers team here in this series. You have Tobias Moreno, Henny Saldazaro. We haven't seen him yet, but Tillman Pooh is also a new guy. Mike McClellan, also a guy we have not seen. So a total of 4 new faces on this Boomers team. Here's Frodden's pitch, and that one's low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. Want to know the count here on Arrhenius Saldazaro. Saldazaro's had a very good series against the Wild Things. 3 for 4 last night, and in Game 1 he went 1 for 4 against Wild Things pitching. So he's been doing very well at the plate so far here in this series. Frodden has his sign. Dean takes his lead from first, and the 1-0. And Saldazaro hits this one towards left. Andrew Heck giving chase over by the line. He's going to make the running catch, and that's in time for out number 2. Heck staying with that one and able to bring it in for the second out of the inning. Nice defensive play there. That holds the runner where he is at first base with 2 outs and brings to the plate the third baseman, Kenny Towns. Towns so far in the year hitting .298, 3 home runs, and 14 RBIs. 2 men out here in the top of the first. No score between your Washington Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers. Jordan Dean walked with 1 man out, but he is still at first now with 2 away. Frodden has his sign, checks Dean, and the pitch on the way. And this one's on the inside corner for a strike. Count goes to no balls and a strike. Coaching on the bases for the Schaumburg Boomers. At third base is their manager, Jamie Bennett, in his 5th season. And at first base is Bill Frotto, the first base coach. He in his 4th season with the team. Frodden has his sign, checks first, and the 0-1. and a swing and a miss. Frodden blows that one by a high fastball, and the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. As bad as Frodden's been with the walks in his last couple starts, his strikeout numbers have bbeen way up. He struck out 7 or more in each of his last 3 starts, getting 8 his last time out, 7 2 times ago, and then 8 3 starts ago. The 0-2, and that one's inside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. His 83 strikeouts currently lead the Wild Things team on the season, 83 in 95 innings of work. Frodden looks in, has his sign, he's set, checks first, and the 1-2. And this ball grounded to second. Grant Fink has it. He'll throw on to first, and that's in time to end the inning. No runs in the inning for the Boomers on no hits, no errors, and a man left on after the walk. After half an inning of play, the score, your Washington Wild Things coming to bat, and the Schaumburg Boomers nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
You just never know how your day is going to go. The same holds true at Penn Station East Coast Subs. For some unsuspecting spuds, they start their day as Idaho potatoes, only to be transformed into hand-hewn fries. Unlucky for them, good for you. However, both your days get better because the fries get to sidle up next to a perfectly grilled Philly cheesesteak. Then, on their way to their final resting place, they get bathed in citric nectar, our signature lemonade. Wherever your day takes you, we recommend Penn Station be one of the stops.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the first, and the score, your Washington Wild Things coming to bat, and the Schaumburg Boomers nothing. The Boomers aligned defensively like this. In the outfield left to right are Henny Salazaro, Tobias Moreno, and Mark Nelson. Left side of the infield held down by Kenny Towns and Nick Oberg. Right side held down by Jordan Dean and Mike McClellan. Behind the plate is James Keller catching tonight's starter, Scott Schultz. Schultz so far in the year, a record of 4-5, a 5.18 ERA, appearing in its 17th game, making his 17th start. He's thrown 90 and a third innings of work, giving up 65 runs, 52 of those earned, on 108 hits, 25 walks, and 63 strikeouts on the year for Schultz. The lineup he'll face for your Washington Wild Things looks like this. They'll lead off with their left fielder, Andrew Heck. Batting second in center field, Chris Grayson. Hitting third at third base, Ricky Rodriguez. Batting fourth in right field, Dave Popkins. Hitting fifth and playing at first base, Jimmy Yezzo. Batting sixth and catching, Kyle Pollock. Hitting seventh, designated hitter Alvaro Gonzalez. Batting eighth at second base, Grant Fink. And batting ninth and playing at shortstop is Austin Wobrock. On the mound, as you saw, Matt Frodden enters today with a record of 6-6 and a 3.03 ERA. Andrew Heck makes his way to the plate to lead things off here in the bottom of the first for your Wild Things. Heck so far in the year, hitting .273, no home runs, and 15 RBIs. Scott Schultz, the righty on the mound, has his sign. He's set, and the pitch. And Heck, a ground ball left side. Kenny Towns handles it on a hop, throws on to first, and that's in time for out number one. So one pitch and one away for the Wild Things here in the bottom of the first. That'll bring up the center fielder, Chris Grayson. Grayson so far in the year hitting .300, 3 home runs, and 15 RBIs. That .300 average is good for the team lead here on the Wild Things. So one up, one down on one pitch for Scott Schultz on the mound for the Schaumburg Boomers. Schultz's last time out, he was roughed up a little bit against Lake Erie. Went 4 innings, 4 runs in the ballgame on 6 hits, walked 3, and struck out 3. So Scott Schultz looking into his catcher. Keller has his sign, the pitch. And Grayson takes this one for a strike at the knees. Count goes to no balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count. Schultz, after walking 3 his last time out, had 2 straight starts where he didn't walk anybody in games against Joliet and Florence. The 0-1, and that one's low for a ball. Count to 1 ball and 1 strike. Not a guy who's going to walk a lot of batters. His most walks in a game on the season is 4. That was in his debut on May 14th. Grounded to first, sliding stop by McClellan. Schultz over there, and he'll step on the bag for out number 2. A very nice play there by Mike McClellan, robbing Chris Grayson of a base hit. And there's 2 up, 2 down for the Wild Things. McClellan going to his right, sliding on a knee, and is able to pick that ball for out number 2. That'll bring to the plate the third baseman, Ricky Rodriguez. Rodriguez on the year for your Wild Things, hitting .289, 6 home runs, and 27 RBIs. Hit his 6th home run of the year in last night's ball game. Schultz has his sign. Here's the pitch, and Rodriguez takes this one for a strike on the outside corner. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count. Rodriguez's 6 home runs are good for 4th on the team, behind Grant Fink, Dave Popkins, and Jimmy Yezzo. Popkins leads the group. The 0-1, that one's outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count of the Wild Things third baseman. Saw Chris Grayson there last night. as well, so he's getting his third straight start at third in the series. The 1-1, and that one's low for a ball. Count now going to 2 balls and a strike. While we were in Traverse City, and on that road trip in general, saw Rodriguez a lot in the designated hitters role as Alvaro Gonzalez got some starts at third base. Gonzalez, the DH here today. Here's the 2-1, and this ball popped foul off to the right. It'll get back into the stands, and the count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. With those first 2 Wild Things batters, not really seeing any of them work the count deep. Andrew Heck, just a 1-pitch ground out, and then Chris Grayson, a 3-pitch ground out. Rodriguez, 5th pitch of the at-bat here, the 2-2, and that one's inside for a ball. Doesn't get Rodriguez, just misses him, and that fills the count at 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2 the count. Dave Popkins, the on-deck man for the Washington Wild Things. 2 men out, bottom of the first, no score between your Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers. Here's Schultz 3-2, and this ball grounded to the left side, and that's a base hit for Rodriguez. Perfectly splits the gap between the third baseman Kenny Towns and the shortstop Nick Oberg, and that puts a runner at first with 2 men out for the Wild Things and brings to the plate the right fielder Dave Popkins. Popkins so far in the year hitting .287, 13 home runs, and 43 RBIs. 2 men out, bottom of the first. Rodriguez getting on base with 2 men out. Picked up the Wild Things' first hit in last night's game as well. Only had a home run in the first inning, but instead of a single. Schultz has his sign, the pitch, and a swing and a foul ball there by Popkins. Goes back to the screen, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count, and the switch hitting right fielder for the Washington Wild Things, batting left-handed today against the righty Scott Schultz on the mound. Schultz looks in, has his sign, he's set, and the 0-1. And that one's high and outside for a ball. That evens the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count. Wild Things saw a right-hander yesterday in Seth Webster. Today, Scott Schultz, the righty, taking the mound. Not quite as tall as Webster was yesterday. Schultz standing there at 6'3", 215. Has his sign, the 1-1, and this ball hit towards left field. Aldazaro coming in, and he'll make the catch, and that's in time for out number 3. No runs in the inning for the Wild Things on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 man left on base. After 1 inning of play here at Consol Energy Park, the score: your Washington Wild Things nothing, Schaumburg Boomers nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
When looking to replace your athletic field, choose ProGrass, first in turf. ProGrass has installed over 500 fields in the U.S. Getting the best artificial turf for your field depends upon both the product and the partner you choose. That's why architects, athletic directors, and players choose the ProGrass Performance System. ProGrass maintains an active presence in the field turf industry as members of the Sports Turf Management Association and the American Sports Builder Association, and is proud to be recognized as a FIFA preferred manufacturer. Call ProGrass today at 866-270-6003 or visit them on the web at www.progressturf.com. ProGrass, first in turf.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the second, and the score: your Washington Wild Things nothing, Schaumburg Boomers nothing. Last inning for the Schaumburg Boomers, Tobias Moreno would ground out to start things off, then Jordan Deem would walk before Argenis Aldazaro flew out, and Kenny Towns grounded out to end the inning. Due up here in the second, Mark Nelson, Mike McClellan, and Michael Hill, 5, 6, and 7 against Matt Frodden. Frodden, a pretty good first inning, 13 pitches, just walking that 1 man, not giving up any hits. Looking for a good start today for the Wild Things. Next Wild Things broadcast will be Tuesday night, 6:05 first pitch. We got a doubleheader for you between the Washington Wild Things and the Traverse City Beach Bums. Last meeting between those two teams here in the regular season. The doubleheader Tuesday, 6:05 for the first game, 8:05 or approximately 30 minutes after the conclusion of Game 1 for Game 2. And then Wednesday night we'll come back at you at 7:05. Stepping in to lead things off here in the top of the second, the right fielder, Mark Nelson. Nelson so far in the year, hitting .282 home runs and 27 RBIs. Matt Frodden looks in, has his sign. Here's the pitch. And that one's on the outside corner for a strike. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 here on Mark Nelson. Saw him out in right field in last night's game as well. Frodden has his sign. He's set. Here's the 0-1. And that one hits the inside corner. Count going to no balls and 2 strikes. Frodden, his location has been pretty good here early on. Did have that 1 walk in the first inning, but wasn't missing the plate by much. Then this at-bat's been very good. The 0-2, grounded to the left side. Rodriguez handles it. He'll throw on to first, and that's in time for out number one. One up, one down for the Schaumburg Boomers here in the top of the second. That brings to the plate the first baseman, Mike McClellan. McClellan so far on the year hitting .343, one home run, and 6 RBIs. Drove in his team's only run last night with that RBI single that he hit in the top of the fourth, scoring Argenis Aldazaro. One out here in the top of the second. No score between your Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers. Frodden has his sign, the pitch. And McClellan hits this one to center field. Chris Grayson going back on it towards the track at the wall. He leaps, and he makes the catch. What a catch by Chris Grayson. And that's in time for out number 2. It wouldn't have been a home run, but Grayson takes away extra bases for Mike McClellan, running back to the track in the right center field gap and leaping up, getting that ball right in the web. And that's good for out number 2. 2 up, 2 down. That brings to the plate the designated hitter, Michael Hill. Hill so far in the year hitting .201, 1 home run, and 21 RBIs. 2 men out, top of the second. No score between your Wild Things and the Boomers. Here's the pitch from Frodden, and that one's low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count. Michael Hill batting left-handed, switch hitter, as we saw him bat right-handed last night against Brandon Bixler. Lefty there today against the righty Matt Frodden. The 1-0, grounded softly to the right side. Grant Fink charges, gloves, and throws to first, and that's in time for out number 3. 1, 2, 3 go the Boomers here in the second, and after an inning and a half at Consol Energy Park, the score, your Washington Wild Things nothing, Schaumburg Boomers nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
AAA members enjoy 24/7 roadside assistance, exclusive member-only discounts, expert travel assistance, free identity theft protection, and much more. With that AAA card in your wallet or purse, you have the peace of mind, safety, and security that only AAA membership can provide. Already a member? Don't forget to renew. Not a member? Join AAA today at any nearby office or online at AAA.com. AAA, we're always with you.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the second, and the score, your Washington Wild Things nothing, Schaumburg Boomers nothing. Last inning for the Wild Things, they would have a man on, but would not score, as Andrew Heck grounded out to lead off the ball game. Then Chris Grayson would ground out, Ricky Rodriguez singled, and Dave Popkins flew out to end the inning. Due up here in the second, Jimmy Yezzo, Kyle Pollock, and Alvaro Gonzalez against Scott Schultz. Schultz in that first inning threw 13 pitches against the Washington Wild Things. Gave up that one hit to Ricky Rodriguez, but that's just a perfectly placed ground ball. So making quick work of the Wild Things in the first. He's back out here for the second inning of play. Coming up next game, $2 Tuesdays here at Consol Energy Park. For drinks, food, $2 only here at the park. And you get 2 games for the price of 1 on a $2 Tuesday. Doubleheader with the Wild Things and the Traverse City Beach Bums. Come out for 2 great games and $2 Tuesday. Stepping to the plate to lead things off here in the bottom of the second is the first baseman, Jimmy Yezzo. Yezzo so far on the year is hitting .221, 11 home runs, and 33 RBIs. Those 11 homers and 33 RBIs are both good for second on this Washington Wild Things team. Bottom of the second, no score between your Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers here in Game 3 of this 3-game series. Wild Things trying to get a series win. Schultz looks in, has his sign. Here's the pitch. And Yezzo takes this one in the outside corner for a strike. Schultz getting ahead here, no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the Wild Things first baseman. Schultz has his sign. He's set. Here's the 0-1. That one's outside for a ball. Count now evening up at 1 ball, 1 strike. 1-1. Yezzo batting left-handed against the right-hander Scott Schultz. Wild Things today featuring their red alternate jerseys with the white lettering and white home pants. The 1-1. And that one's a called strike on the outside corner. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. And for the Schaumburg Boomers, they're featuring their black alternates with the orange lettering and their gray road pants. Umpires today behind home plate, Michael Shields. And on the bases is Andy Dodonis. Here's the 1-2 pitch and a swing and a miss by Yezzo. He strikes out. That's out number 1. 1 up, 1 down for the Wild Things here in the second. First strikeout of the day for Scott Schultz. And that brings up the catcher, Kyle Pollock. Pollock so far in the year hitting .246, 2 home runs, and 12 RBIs. 1 man out, bottom of the second. Pollock to the plate. Schultz looks in. Here's the pitch. And a swing and a foul ball off to the right towards the Wild Things dugout, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count of the Wild Things catcher for Scott Schultz on the mound for the Boomers today. Schultz has thrown 90 and a third innings of work coming into today, struck out 63 and has walked 25. So very good in the strikeout department. This pitch and that one's up at the letters, but called a strike, and the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. The one thing we noticed, just like with Webster last night, Schultz is a guy who can give up a lot of hits, 108 hits in 90 and a third. The 0-2, and that one grounded off to the left towards the Boomers' dugout, foul, and the count remains no balls and 2 strikes. Kyle Pollock on that one just a little bit early from the right-handed hitter. One man out here in the bottom of the second, no score. Schultz has his sign. Here's the 0-2. And that one's outside for a ball. Count now going to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Kyle Pollock wisely laying off of that one. Schultz was working the upper part of the zone early in that bat. Tried to get Pollock to chase one outside, and Pollock not going for it. The 1-2, and that one's a called strike 3 on the inside corner. Kyle Pollock strikes out, and that is out number 2. Second strikeout of the day for Scott Schultz. That brings to the plate the designated hitter, Alvaro Gonzalez. Gonzalez so far in the year hitting 192, no home runs, and 5 RBIs. Was signed right before last homestand, before the Tuesday doubleheader with the Lake Erie Crushers. Alvaro Gonzalez playing in game number 8 as a Washington Wild Thing. First pitch, and that one's outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 count. James Keller having to go in the dirt back there to block that one. Keller's been behind the plate for all 3 games. Here's the 1-0, and Gonzalez pops this one up. On the infield, Jordan Dean staying at his position. He'll camp under it and make the catch, and that's in time for out number 3. 1-2-3 go the Wild Things here in the second, and after 2 innings of play, the score, your Washington Wild Things nothing, Schaumburg Boomers nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
How does a 120-year-old company like Henderson Brothers keep up in a world that changes every minute, that keeps throwing curveballs, that flaunts new technology, that demands responsiveness? The answer is simple. With expertise. We insure the most successful corporations in the area, and they in turn recommend us. And for that, we're grateful. Henderson Brothers. Expect an expert.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the third, and the score, your Washington Wild Things nothing, Schaumburg Boomers nothing. Matt Frodden back out there for his 3rd inning of work. Last inning got a 1-2-3 inning. Mark Nelson would ground out to lead things off. Mike McClellan would then fly out, and Michael Hill would ground out to end the inning. Due up here in the third, James Keller, Nick Oberg, and Tobias Moreno, 8, 9, and 1 against Matt Frodden. Now, Frodden, as we said last time out, a very good outing against Traverse City back on August 16th. Went 6 innings in that one, gave up 3 runs, all those runs earned on 5 hits, walked 5 and struck out 8. As we said, walks have been a problem for him lately in his recent starts. In his last 3 starts, he's 1-2 in those outings combined. Has not gone more than 6 innings in a ball game. Walked 5 in his last 2 starts. Walked 1 3 starts ago against River City. But his strikeout numbers have been up as well. 8, 7, and 8 for his last 3 outings. 8 strikeouts is his career high, set back on August the 6th, the first time he did it against River City, and then he duplicated that effort on August 16th against Traverse City. Stepping in to lead things off against him here in this top of the 3rd inning is the catcher, James Keller. Keller so far in the year hitting .204, 2 home runs, and 15 RBIs. Matt Frodden looking in, has his sign, he's set, and the pitch. And that one's low for a ball. Frodden falling behind him, 1 ball, no strikes. 8, 9, and 1 for Frodden here in this 3rd inning. Frodden just 1 man under the minimum, or over the minimum, here in the 3rd inning. The 1-0, and that one's in there at the knees this time for a called strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. As we were talking about earlier, James Keller has caught all 3 games of this series for the Schaumburg Boomers. The backup, Jake Cockrum, not getting a chance in this one to this point. The 1-1, that one's low and outside, and the count goes to 2 balls and a strike. 2-1 on the Schaumburg Boomers catcher. Wild Things defense playing pretty much straight up here against James Keller. Here's the 2-1 from Frodden. And that one's a called strike hitting the outside corner. Evens the count at 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Nobody out top of the 3rd. No score between your Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers. Frodden has his sign, the 2-2. And this ball hit off to the right side. It'll go back behind the Wild Things bullpen. And the count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 here on the Schaumburg Boomers catcher. James Keller has done a lot of the catching against the Washington Wild Things. Was actually the only catcher on the roster last time the Wild Things faced the Boomers. The 2-2, and that one's just outside for a ball. The count fills up at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Last time the Wild Things saw the Boomers, they had just traded their former backup, Colton Yamaguchi, and this time James Keller's caught all 3 games in this series. The 3-2, and this one popped up. Foul territory off to the right, but that'll get back into the seats, and the count remains 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2, nobody out, top of the third. The on-deck man is the number 9 hitter, Nick Oberg. 0-0 score between your Wild Things and the Boomers. Frodden has his sign, he's set, and the 3-2 offering. And this ball popped foul back behind the plate and hits right above my press box here at Consol Energy Park, and the count remains 3-2. I was getting a little worried there that was going to come in. 3 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. Frodden looks in, has his sign, he's set, and the 3-2. And that one's low ball 4. So after an 8-pitch at-bat, James Keller ends up walking to lead off this top of the third. Second walk of the day for Matt Frodden, and that brings to the plate the shortstop, Nick Oberg. Oberg so far on the season, hitting .217, 1 home run, and 13 RBIs. Nobody out top of the third. Runner at first is James Keller. 2 walks and no strikeouts so far on the day for Frodden. Keller takes his lead. The pitch, Oberg showing bunt, gets this one down, and it gets it foul over to the Wild Things dugout. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the number 9 hitter. Oberg has been in that 9 spot for every game against the Wild Things. Looking down at the third base coaching box right now, getting the signs from manager Jamie Bennett. Manager Jamie Bennett in his 5th season has a record of .214 and 170 with the Schaumburg Boomers. Currently this year his team sits at 37 and 46. Bennett has been with the team since their creation 5 seasons ago. Frodden has his sign, he's set, and the 0-1 offering. Oberg showing bunt again, pops this one up. Matt Frodden makes the play, return throw to first, and it's in time for the double play. Heads up defensive play there by Frodden, and the leadoff man retired on base. There are now 2 outs in the top of the third. Nick Oberg popping up that sacrifice bunt attempt. Frodden off the mound to get it, and then fired over to first in time to get James Keller for the second out of the inning. Now 2 outs in the top of the third, and Tobias Moreno coming to the plate. Moreno so far 0 for 1 in this ball game. He grounded out his first at-bat. Last night would go 0 for 4, walked, lined out, grounded out, and struck out twice. Here's the pitch, and Moreno takes that one outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on the Schaumburg Boomers center fielder. Now 2 outs in the top of the third. No score between your Wild Things and the Boomers. Frodden has his sign, he's set, and the 1 ball, no strike offering. And this ball line foul back to the screen. Count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. Wild Things getting a nice day here at Washington County. No humidity outside. Got a nice breeze blowing out towards right field. And these players got to love that after playing in the humidity a lot on that road trip. Windy City, hot and humid. A lot of the places we've gone, it's been hot and humid. The 1-1 hit off to the left and foul. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. In fact, when we were in Southern Illinois back right after the All-Star break, that was July 22nd through the 24th, that Saturday, the middle game of that series had a feel like of 105 outside. The players were not comfortable. Must be good to be playing in a very cool game today. The 1-2, swing and a miss, and Frodden strikes out Tobias Moreno. That ends the inning. No runs in the inning on no hits, no errors, and nobody left on base. After 2.5 to score, your Washington Wild Things nothing, Schaumburg Boomers nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
Hi, this is Hines Ward. If you're a high school sports fan, the place to go all year round is the MSA Sports Network. Log on every day to www.msasports.net for the schedules, the scores, the standings, the rankings, and of course, all of the broadcasts includes exclusive Whitfield playoffs and championship action. Anytime, anywhere, always there, the MSA Sports Network.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the third, and the score, your Washington Wild Things nothing, and the Schaumburg Boomers nothing. Last inning for the Washington Wild Things, Jimmy Yezzo would strike out, Kyle Pollock struck out looking, and Alvaro Gonzalez popped out to end the inning. Due up here in the third, Grant Fink, Austin Wobrock, Andrew Heck, 8-9-1, facing off against Scott Schultz. Schultz last time out, as we talked about earlier, got a little bit roughed up. 4 innings, he got 4 runs, all earned on 6 hits. Walked 3 and struck out 3 against the Lake Erie Crushers back on August the 14th. And 2 starts ago also got roughed up. August 9th against Joliet. Went 5 1/3, and that one gave up 9 runs, 6 of those earned on 12 hits. Didn't walk anybody, but struck out 5. in the ball game. Time before that on August 3rd, didn't give up a run in 5 1/3 innings of work. So trying to have a bounce back outing today after those last 2 starts. He has not picked up a win since July 6th against Traverse City. So it's been over a month and a half since Scott Schultz' last win for the Schaumburg Boomers. Wild Things trying to keep it that way today. As stepping in is the second baseman, Grant Fink. Fink so far in the year hitting 187, 8 home runs, and 17 RBIs. Schultz has his sign. Here's the pitch. And a check swing there by Fink. Did he go around? Yes, says field umpire Andy Dodonis, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 here on Fink. Fink tried to hold up on that one, but just could not. Schultz has his sign, the 0-1. And Fink takes this one off, just off the outside corner for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. Last night for the Wild Things, Ryan Willard was out there at second base. Grant Fink getting the start today. The 1-1. This one rolled softly to the left side and foul. Manager Greg Langben, nice barehanded play in the third base coaching box. And the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 here on Grant Fink, batting from the right side against the right-hander Scott Schultz. Schultz's 1-2 offering. And Fink a check swing. Did he go around? No this time, says Andy Dodonis. And the count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Fink didn't want to chase that one in the dirt. Tried to hold up his swing, and thankfully for him, did in time. Schultz has his sign, the 2-2. And hits this one towards right field in foul territory. Giving chase is Mark Nelson, but to watch this one land beyond the Wild Things bullpen, and the count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. The bullpens here at Consol Energy Park are located in foul territory, so you have to be always alert down there as a relief pitcher for either team. When you have the pitchers warming up, they have to have personal protectors here at Consol Energy Park. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Here's Schultz offering. And Fink again fouls this one off, back to the right side and into the seat. So staying alive here as the count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. Scott Schultz so far in the day, in terms of efficiency, pretty good. 13 pitches in the first and 11 in inning number 2. You like to stay under 15 per inning. Matt Frodden's been good in that department as well. The 2-2. And that one's high for a ball. That fills the count up here to Grant Fink. And the count at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Second full count of the day for Scott Schultz. Last time the count went full, he gave up a single to Ricky Rodriguez in the first. Here's Schultz 3-2. And Fink pops this one up. On the infield, third baseman Kenny Towns drifting over into foul territory. He'll make the catch. And that's in time for out number 1. 1 up, 1 down for the Wild Things here in the bottom of the third, and that brings up the shortstop, Austin Wobrock. Wobrock so far in the year hitting .213, 1 home run, and 14 RBIs. And even though that was an out for Grant Fink, still a very good at-bat. Saw 8 pitches against Scott Schultz, and Schultz had to show him everything he's got. So the Wild Things get a chance to see what Schultz has this first time around the lineup. Wobrock, the number 9 hitter at the plate. Schultz has his sign, he's set, and the pitch. And Wobrock, a ground ball right at the middle. Nick Oberg runs, spins, throws, and the throw is off the mark at first base. So Wobrock's going to reach base here with 1 man out. Will likely give him a hit, as that was a very tough play by Nick Oberg. They do give Austin Wobrock a hit, and it's a 1-out single. Wild Things have a runner on, and that brings up the left fielder, Andrew Heck. Heck so far in the game, 0 for 1, grounded out his first time. Last night went 1 for 4 with a single, also lined out, flew out, and struck out in the ball game. Nick Oberg had to range a long way to his left on that one. Gloved the ball, went into a spin, and then threw the ball in the dirt to first base, and McClellan had to come off the bag to field. So Wobrock at first with 1 man out. Schultz has his sign, and the pitch on the way. And Andrew Heck taking this one high for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on the Wild Things left fielder. 1 man out in this bottom of the third inning. No score between your Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers. Schultz has his sign, the 1-0, and Heck takes this one high as well. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. James Keller having to pop out of the crouch to make that catch. For Austin Wobrock over at first base, he has 6 stolen bases on the year. Part of a logjam for second place in the steals department on this team. Wobrock, Heck, and Jamadric Magruder all tied with 6. The 2-0, and that one's outside for a ball. Count goes to 3 balls and no strikes. So Schultz falling behind Heck the second time through this order for the Wild Things. Schultz is only 2 men now over the minimum here in the bottom of the third. Has his sign, he's set, and the 3-0. And that one's high, ball 4. So a 4-pitch walk here to Andrew Heck. That'll put runners at first and second for the Wild Things now with 1 man out, and brings to the plate the center fielder, Chris Grayson. Grayson so far in the game 0 for 1, was robbed of a base hit on a very nice sliding stop by Mike McClellan. his first time up. McClellan went down to a knee, made the backhanded stop, and then threw to first for the second out in that first inning. Grayson in last night's game would go 2 for 4, hit his third home run of the year. That gave the Wild Things the lead and was eventually the winning run. He also singled, struck out, and flew out in the ballgame. Schultz has his sign. He's set, checks second. Here's the pitch. And Grayson takes this one for a strike on the outside corner. Count goes to no balls and a strike. And if you're Scott Schultz, after that 4-pitch walk to Andrew Heck, that's exactly what you want to see. Get back in the strike zone here against the next guy. Schultz has his sign. He's set. And the 0-1 offering. That one's outside for a ball. Count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. Austin Wobrock, the runner at second. He singled with 1 man out. Andrew Heck over at first after his 1-out walk. Both have 6 steals on the year. Schultz looking in. Has his sign. He's set. Checks Wobrock at second and the 1-1. And Grayson hitting this one to shallow left field. Towns giving chase. So is Altazaro. Lands in fair territory. Wobrock's going to score. Andrew Heck will be held at third. And it's an RBI double for Chris Grayson. Wild Things take the lead here in the bottom of the third. It's 1-0 Wild Things over the Schaumburg Boomers. That ball hit very softly by Chris Grayson. It hung up there long enough for Wobrock to already be around third by the time it landed. Heck gets into third, and Chris Grayson into second with the RBI double. Grayson's 16th RBI of the season, and that'll bring up the third baseman, Ricky Rodriguez. Rodriguez so far 1 for 1 with a single on the day. Last night, Rodriguez would go 2 for 4, hit his 6th home run of the year. Also singled, flew out, and struck out in the ballgame. 1 out, Wild Things lead 1-0 here at Consol Energy Park. Scott Schultz has his sign, checks the runner at third, and the pitch on the way. And this ball popped foul by Rodriguez over to the seats in right, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count. Runners are at second and third for the Wild Things. 1 out, 1 run in the inning on the RBI double by Chris Grayson. Wild Things lead 1-0. Scott Schultz looking into James Keller. Schultz has his sign, checks Heck over at third, and the 0-1. And Rodriguez to right field. It's over the head of Dean for a base hit. Heck will score. Grayson's going to come around. Here's the throw, and he's going to come in to score. A 2 RBI single by Ricky Rodriguez, and your Wild Things take a 3-0 lead here in the bottom of the third. Ricky Rodriguez, RBIs number 28 and 29 on the season. Grayson and Heck score. Wild Things take a 3-0 lead over Scott Schultz, and neither of those pitches were very hard hit, but just had enough to get out of the infield and gave the guys on base time to come around. That brings in the right fielder, Dave Popkins. Popkins so far 0 for 1 in last night's ball game. Would go 1 for 3, singled, walked, popped out, and struck out in the game. Rodriguez takes his lead from first. Schultz has his sign. He's set, and the pitch to Popkins. And he fouls this one back to the screen. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 3 runs in the inning for the Wild Things on back-to-back RBI hits by Chris Grayson and Ricky Rodriguez that gave the Wild Things this 3-0 lead. This inning started with a pop-out by Grant Fink before Austin Wobrock and Andrew Heck. Wobrock singled, Heck walked, and the 2 RBI hits. Here's the 0-1, and Popkins takes this one inside for a ball. That evens up the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 on the Wild Things right fielder. 3-0 Wild Things lead here in the bottom of the third. Matt Fraude now pitching with a lead in this ball game. Schultz has his sign. Here's the 1-1. This ball grounded up the middle, and that's a base hit. Dave Popkins will reach base. Ricky Rodriguez will stop at second, so there's runners at first and second now for the Wild Things with just 1 man out still, and that brings up the first baseman, Jimmy Yezzo. Yezzo so far 0 for 1 with a strikeout here in this one. Last night went 0 for 3, hitting a fielder's choice, flew out, and popped out in the ball game. That'll bring out for Schaumburg the pitching coach, TJ Nail. TJ Nail in his 4th season with the Schaumburg Boomers right now going out to try and calm down his starter, Scott Schultz. Schultz in the first 2 innings pitched very well, only faced 4 men in the first inning, gave up the 1 hit to Ricky Rodriguez. Then got a 1-2-3 inning in inning number 2, striking out 2 of the 3 men he faced. But here in this inning with 1 out, things have just snowballed on him. Wobrock singled with 1 out. Andrew Heck would then walk to have runners at first and second. And then really a blue double by Chris Grayson, bringing in Austin Wobrock, and another bloop single by Ricky Rodriguez, able to score 2 as Andrew Heck and Grayson came around to score. That's how the Wild Things have built this 3-0 lead. Then Dave Poppins grounding up the middle. He's now at first base, Rodriguez at second. None of these balls have been hit very hard in the inning, but just falling in at the right places for the Wild Things. Jezzo at the plate. Schultz has his sign. He's set, and the pitch on the way. And Yezzo to right field and deep. Going back is Mark Nelson, and this ball exits stage right. A 3-run blast for Jimmy Yezzo. And the Wild Things open it up here in the bottom of the third. It's now 6-0 Wild Things. Yezzo's 12th home run of the year. And when you need an attorney to hit one out of the park for you, yo, Keith. That home run brought to you by Keith Owen Campbell, attorney at law. Yezzo's 12th home run of the season, and the Wild Things have now scored 6 here in the bottom of the third, all with 1 out, and Kyle Pollock coming to the plate. Pollock so far 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Schultz has his sign. Here's the pitch. And Pollock takes this one high for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count of the Wild Things catcher. Pollock, the 8th man to come to the plate here against Scott Schultz in this inning. Has his sign, the 1-0. And Pollock hits this one to center field. Moreno going back a couple of steps on it. He'll camp under it and make the catch. And that's in time for out number 2. The second out of the inning for the Wild Things. 6 runs have come in already. And that'll bring up the designated hitter, Alvaro Gonzalez. Gonzalez so far 0 for 1. Popped out to end the second inning in his first at-bat. Did not play last night, as last night's designated hitter Justin Garcia went 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. 2 outs here in the bottom of the third. 6-0 Wild Things lead. Here's the pitch, and Gonzalez pops it up. Shallow left field, Nick Oberg going out now. He'll call everyone off, and he makes the catch, and that's in time for out number 3. But not before 6 runs come in the inning on a total of 5 hits, no errors, and nobody left on base. After 3 innings of play, the score, your Washington Wild Things 6 and the Schaumburg Boomers nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
Enjoy shopping and dining at one of Ohio Valley Mall's 100 merchants, including Boscov's, MC Sports, Hibbett Sports, Pat Catan's, Christopher & Banks, Men's Warehouse, and many more. Check out the new Buckle Store. And coming soon, Buffalo Wild Wings. If the little ones need a break, head to the Kids Zone, sponsored by Ohio Valley Medical Center and East Ohio Regional Hospital, your community hospitals.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the fourth, and the score, your Washington Wild Things 6 and the Schaumburg Boomers nothing. Last inning for the Schaumburg Boomers, they would send 3 men to the plate. James Keller walked to start things off with an 8-pitch at bat. Then Nick Oberg would hit into a double play, trying to sacrifice his man to second base. He popped up the sacrifice bunt attempt, and then Frauden able to catch it and fire to first in time for the double play before Tobias Moreno struck out to end the inning. Due up here in the fourth, Jordan Dean, Argeni Saldazaro, and Kenny Towns, 3, 4, and 5 against Matt Frauden. Frauden now pitching with a big lead, leading 6-0 over the Schaumburg Boomers here in the top of the fourth. That'll bring to the plate the second baseman, Jordan Dean. Dean so far on the day, no official at-bat to this point. He walked his first time up, and Dean in last night's ball game would end up going 0 for 4 with 2 groundouts, a strikeout, and a flyout. Frauden has his sign. Here's the pitch. And that one's high for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count of the Boomers' second baseman here in the top of the fourth. 6-0 Wild Things lead, getting all 6 runs in that bottom of the third. The 1-0, and this ball popped up to the right side in foul territory. Yezzo giving chase over by the stands, and he's going to run out of room as that'll get into the stands foul. Count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. Now you're Matt Frauden pitching with a lead. Just pound the strike zone and trust your defenders. You're leading by 6. No need to be crafty here trying to paint the corners. Just get in the strike zone as best you can and trust the defense. Frauden has his sign. He's set, the 1-1. And this one's a called strike in the knees. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Frauden, only 1 strikeout on the day so far, has struck out 7 or more batters in his last 3 starts. So trying to continue that stretch here tonight. Has his sign. He's set in the 1-2 offering. And a called strike 3. Jordan Dean strikes out, and that's out number 1 here in the 4th. 1 up, 1 down for the Boomers, and that'll bring to the plate the left fielder, Argenis Aldazaro. Aldazaro so far 0 for 1 on the day. Last night went 3 for 4 with a double, 2 singles, and a ground out in the ball game. 1 man out, top of the 4th. 6-0 Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers here at Consol Energy Park. Game 3 of this 3-game series. Boomers took the first game 5-0. Wild Things win 2-1 last night. First pitch, and that one's just low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. Want to know the count here on Argenis Aldazaro. Has been hitting very well in this series. In the first 2 games, a combined 4 for 8. Here's the 1-0, and that one's high for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. Counting his first at-bat today, 4 for 9 in the series against the Washington Wild Things. Here's the 2-0, and that one's a called strike hitting the inside corner. Count now going to 2 balls and a strike. 2-1 the count. 1 man out here in the top of the 4th. 6-0 Wild Things lead here in Game 3 of this 3-game series. Frauden has his sign. Here's the 2-1. And that one's just low for a ball. Count goes to 3 balls and 1 strike. 3-1 now to Argenis Aldazaro. 1 man out. Chris Grayson out in center field, shaded a little bit towards the right center field gap. But other than that, the Wild Things defense playing straight up. The 3-1, and this one grounded up the middle. Austin Wobrock handling it on the hop, throws to first, and that's in time for out number 2. 2 up, 2 down for the Boomers here in the 4th inning, and that brings to the plate the third baseman, Kenny Towns. Towns so far 0 for 1, grounded out back in inning number 1 in his first at-bat. 2 men out here in this top of the 4th. 6-0 Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers here at Consol Energy Park. The Boomers have still not collected their first hit here in this ball game. Righty on righty matchup. 2 men out, top of the 4th. 6-0 Wild Things lead. Frauden has his sign. Here's the pitch. And this ball fouled back to the screen. Count goes to no balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count here on Kenny Towns, batting in the number 4 spot for the Schaumburg Boomers. Frauden just 1 over the minimum here in the 4th inning. Here's the 0-1. And this ball popped up foul back behind the plate. It'll go back into the seats, and the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. Ends up hitting off the roof up here at Consol Energy Park. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 men out. 6 runs, 6 hits for the Wild Things. No runs, no hits for the Boomers. Here's the 0-2 pitch. And a swing and a miss. Frauden strikes him out, and that will end the inning. 1-2-3 go the Boomers here in the 4th. And after 3.5 the score, your Washington Wild Things 6, Schaumburg Boomers nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
PA Leadership Charter School is a proud sponsor of the Washington Wild Things. POGS is a tuition-free online public school for K-12 students. POGS can help your child hit a home run in their education through flexibility, student-to-teacher interaction, and socialization opportunities. Go to POGS.org for more information. Go Wild Things!
PA Leadership Charter School. Lead, don't follow.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the 4th, and the score, your Washington Wild Things 6 and the Schaumburg Boomers nothing. Last inning for the Wild Things, they got all 6 runs in this ball game. It all started out with a pop-out by Grant Fink, then Austin Wobrock singled, Andrew Heck walked to put runners at first and second with 1 man out before Chris Grayson came through, blooping a ball in the shallow left field for an RBI double. Wobrock would score, and that gave the Wild Things a 1-0 lead. Next batter, Ricky Rodriguez. He hit a bloop single into right field. Heck and Grayson came around, and the Wild Things took a 3-0 lead. There was still a runner at first with 1 man out. Dave Popkins would then single, and Jimmy Yezzo would come through with his 12th home run of the season, a 3-run shot over the right field wall. That gave the Wild Things a 6-0 lead. Kyle Pollock would fly out, and Alvaro Gonzalez would pop out to end the inning. Grant Fink stepping in to lead things off here in the bottom of the 4th. Fink so far 0 for 1, popped out in his first at-bat, did not play last night as Ryan Willard was at second base. The pitch, check swing there by Fink, but the home plate umpire Mike Shields says he fouled that one off, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on Grant Fink, batting right-handed. Ryan Willard at second last night went 0 for 3. Here's the 0-1, and that one's low and inside for a ball. Count goes to 1 strike. Scott Schultz back out there for the Schaumburg Boomers, looking for a much cleaner fourth inning than he had in the third, trying to get back to his ways in the first 2 innings of this game. The 1-1, and that one's inside, almost gets Grant Fink, and the count goes to 2 strike. 2-1 on the Wild Things second baseman. Ever since Magruder suffered that hamstring injury back in Florence on July 31st, that second base position has been a revolving door of players. That one swung on and missed by Grant Fink. Count goes to 2 strikes. We've seen Magruder play there. We've seen Fink play there. Also, Ryan Willard getting some starts out there at second base, trying to find someone who can hold it down. Here's the 2-2, and that one's outside for a ball. Count fills up on Grant Fink, and it goes to 3 strikes. Fink can play a lot of different positions for the Wild Things. That really helps his versatility. We've seen him at third, second, first, and left field this season. Here's the 3-2, and that one's low, ball 4. Leadoff walk here in the bottom of the fourth, and the Wild Things get their leadoff man on. That's actually the first time in this ball game that the leadoff man has reached base for the Wild Things. That'll bring up the shortstop, Austin Wobrock. Wobrock so far in the day, 1 for 1, singled in his first at-bat, and in last night's ball game went 0 for 3, struck out twice, and flew out in the contest. Nobody out, bottom of the fourth. 6-0 Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers. Taking his lead from first is Grant Fink. Scott Schultz has his sign. He's set, and the pitch. And Wobrock takes this one low for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. That walk to Grant Fink was Scott Schultz' second walk of the day. Walked Andrew Heck last inning. Schultz looking into his catcher, Keller. Grant Fink takes his lead at first. Schultz has his sign, and the 1-0. And Wobrock lining this one back to the screen. That evens the count up at 1 strike. 1-1 here on the number 9 hitter for the Wild Things in his second year with the Washington Wild Things. Played for the Wild Things last season as well. Had 31 RBIs last year, good for second behind Dave Popkins. Currently 14 RBIs on the season here in 2016. Schultz has his sign, and the 1-1. And Wobrock takes this one for a called strike on the outside corner. Count goes to 1 strikes. 1-2 here on Wobrock. Nobody out, top of the fourth. Grant Fink, the runner at first, as he walked to lead off the inning. Fink has yet to steal a base this year for the Wild Things. Takes his lead over there. Schultz has his sign. He's set, and the 1-2 offering. And that one's inside. Wobrock jumping out of the way of that one. Count evens up at 2 strikes. And really, that third inning, things started to snowball on Scott Schultz. And you see it kind of transitioning here to the beginning of this bottom of the fourth inning. He's not been very sharp in his location, and it's affected him. The 2-2 grounded to short, but this is going to clean things up. Oberg to second for 1 on to first, and that's in time for the double play. That is just what the doctor ordered for Scott Schultz. A 6-4-3 double play, and now there are 2 out here in the bottom of the fourth, and that brings up the left fielder, Andrew Heck. Heck so far in the day, 0 for 1 with a ground out in the first, walked and scored a run in inning number 3. 2 men out here in the bottom of the fourth. 6-0 Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers here at Consol Energy Park. Game 3 of a 3-game series. You're listening to the MSA Sports Network. I'm Zach Ziegler. Scott Schultz looking in, has his sign. He's set. Here's the pitch. And Heck takes this one low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count on the Wild Things left fielder, batting right-handed against the right-hander Scott Schultz. Schultz looks into Keller, has his sign, the 1-0. And a swing and a miss there by Heck. Count evens up at 1 strike. 1-1 the count. Heck in his 4th year with the Washington Wild Things. Joined the club back during the 2012 season. Has been an integral part of their outfield ever since joining the team. Schultz has his sign. He's set. Here's the 1-1. And a swing and a miss there by Heck. Count now going to 1 strikes. 1-2, 2 men out, bottom of the fourth. 6-0 Wild Things lead. They have 6 runs on 6 hits. The Boomers have no runs on no hits in this ball game to this point. Schultz has his sign. He's set. Here's the 1-2 offering. And Heck a ground ball to third. Kenny Towns, nice backhand, throws to first, and nice defensive play there, and that will end the inning. 5-3 on the putout, and no runs in the inning for the Wild Things. No hits, no errors, and nobody left on. After 4 innings of play here at Consol Energy Park, the score, your Washington Wild Things 6 and the Schaumburg Boomers nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
You just never know how your day is going to go. The same holds true at Penn Station East Coast Subs. For some unsuspecting spuds, they start their day as Idaho potatoes, only to be transformed into hand-hewn fries. Unlucky for them, good for you. However, both your days get better because the fries get a sidle up next to a perfectly grilled Philly cheesesteak. Then, on their way to their final resting place, they get bathed in citric nectar, our signature lemonade. Wherever your day takes you, we recommend Penn Station be one of the stops.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the fifth, and the score, your Washington Wild Things 6, Schaumburg Boomers nothing. Last inning for the Schaumburg Boomers, they went 1-2-3 against Matt Frodden. Jordan Dean struck out for the first out of the inning. Argeni Saldazaro would ground out, and then Kenny Towns would strike out to end the inning. Due up here in the fifth, Mark Nelson, Mike McClellan, and Michael Hill, 5, 6, and 7 against Matt Frodden. Frodden, in his professional career, spent all his time with the Washington Wild Things. Currently in his second season with the team. Last year, went 3-2 with a 3.27 ERA. Appeared in 8 games, 7 starts a year ago. Struck out 23 and 46 and 2/3 innings. This season, 6-6 with a 3.03. Has struck out 83 in 95 innings of work. So those strikeout numbers really coming along for Matt Frodden here in his second year with the team. Went undrafted out of college and now joining the Washington Wild Things for his second season. Mark Nelson making the way to the plate right now. Nelson so far 0 for 1 in the ball game. Grounded out back in inning number 2. Nelson in last night's game would go 0 for 3 with a walk. Also flew out twice and struck out in the game. Frodden has his sign. He's set. Here's the pitch. And Nelson takes this one for a strike on the outside corner. Count goes to no balls and a strike. Through 4+ innings of work so far. 3 strikeouts, 2 walks for Frodden on the day. Here's the 0-1. And that one's low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count. Frodden definitely has some stamina in him. His last 2 starts, he's been over 100 pitches. Through 105 last time out, 115 2 starts ago. This one lined past the diving Grant Fink into right field for a base hit. That is the first base hit for the Schaumburg Boomers on the day here in the top of the 5th as they get the leadoff man on here, and that'll bring to the plate the first baseman, Mike McClellan. McClellan so far in the day 0 for 1 with a flyout. McClellan in last night's game drove in the only run for the Schaumburg Boomers. Went 2 for 4, 2 singles, and 2 flyouts on the day. So that's the first hit of the day for the Schaumburg Boomers. Runner at first, nobody out as Mark Nelson takes his lead. Frodden has his sign. Here's the pitch. And McClellan hits this one to right center field, and that one's going to get down. Nelson's going to head to third. They're going to wave him to the plate. Chris Grayson gets it at the wall. Nelson going to be sent. Here comes the throw, and it's cut off. Nelson will score without a throw, and that makes the score 6-1 Wild Things. An RBI double by Mike McClellan, driving in the first run of the game for the Schaumburg Boomers. So they get their first hit, and now their first run comes in to score. Wild Things lead cut to 5. It's now 6-1. That'll bring to the plate the designated hitter, Michael Hill. Hill so far 0 for 1 in the game. Grounded out back in inning number 2. Hill in last night's game went 0 for 4. Reached on an error, grounded out, lined out, and struck out. Now 6-1 Wild Things lead. Frodden has his sign. Checks McClellan at second, and the pitch. And Hill takes this one low. Bounces off the shin guard of Kyle Pollock and rolls to the left. But Pollock able to get to it quickly. And that keeps Mike McClellan right where he is at second base. 1 ball, no strikes, nobody out. Here in the top of the 5th, a run in on the RBI double by McClellan. Wild Things lead 6-1. Frodden has his sign. He's set. Checks second and the 1-0. And that one's on the outside corner for a strike. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 here on Michael Hill, batting left-handed. As we said, the switch hitter for the Schaumburg Boomers. Hill standing in there at 5'11", 190 pounds. Played for the University of North Carolina in Charlotte back in the 2014 season. Here's the 1-1. And that one's low. Pollock blocking that one in the dirt. And the count ball goes to 2 balls and a strike. Michael Hill taking a year off of baseball before joining the Schaumburg Boomers here this season as a first baseman / designated hitter. Matt Frodden looking in, has his sign. He's set, checks second, and the 2-1. And this one hit towards right center field. Grayson giving chase, and he'll make the running catch. And that's in time for out number 1. First out of the inning for the Schaumburg Boomers. McClellan stays right where he is at second. So there's a runner at second with 1 man out. And that brings to the plate the catcher, James Keller. Keller, no official at-bat yet, as he walked his first time, but then was erased on the double play hit into by Nick Oberg. 1 out here in the top of the 5th. Kyle Pollock going out to talk to Matt Frodden after getting that out, trying to say, you got this, and get through the inning. 1 man out. And James Keller at the plate. Keller in last night's ball game would end up going 0 for 3. Struck out, popped out, and grounded out in the ball game. He was pinch hit for by Paul Kroenfeld in the 9th inning of last night's game. Frodden has his sign. Check second. Here's the pitch. And a check swing there by James Keller, but he can't hold up. And Mike Shields calls a strike. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on the Schaumburg Boomers catcher. For Matt Frauden so far, has been very good with his efficiency on the mound. 13 pitches in the first, 6 in the second, 14 in the third, and 12 in inning number 4. So far here, 9 in this 5th inning. Here's the 0-1, and that one's outside for a ball. Count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count here on James Keller. Mike McClellan driving in the first run of the game. He's out at second base, had the RBI double. Frauden looking in, has his sign, he's set. Checks second, and the 1-1. And this ball lined to the left side, past Wobrock and Rodriguez. That'll be a base hit. McClellan had to wait to see if that one was going to fall, so he'll wind up at third, and James Keller over at first. Now the runners at first and third with one man out. That brings to the plate the shortstop, Nick Oberg. Oberg so far 0 for 1, hitting to that double play as last time, trying to sacrifice his man over to second, and ended up hitting into that double play. One man out, top of the 5th. A run in for the Schaumburg Boomers here in this inning. They lead 6-1, or the Wild Things lead 6-1 over the Schaumburg Boomers. Frauden has his sign, checks the runner at third, the pitch. And that one's low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count. Oberg's been the number 9 hitter for the Schaumburg Boomers in all 3 games here in this series. Mike McClellan at third. He had that RBI double. And over at first is James Keller after his 1-out single. Frauden has his sign, checks Keller in the 1-0. And this ball lined foul back into the seats off to the right. And the count goes even to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 here on Nick Oberg out there at shortstop. He was signed just prior to the last time the Wild Things saw these Schaumburg Boomers in early July out in Schaumburg, Illinois. Matt Frauden looking into Kyle Pollock, has his sign, he's set. Checks first, and the 1-1 offering. And that one's a called strike at the knees. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 here on Nick Oberg. Runners at first and third, 1 out for the Boomers. They have a run already in the inning. 6-1 the score, your Wild Things lead. Mike McClellan takes his lead from first. James Keller takes his lead from first. McClellan over at third. Here's the 1-2, and this ball grounded to short. Wobrock to second for 1 on to first, and it's in time for the double play, and that will end the inning. 6-4-3, and just 1 run in the inning for the Boomers on 3 hits, no errors, and they leave 1 man on. After 4.5 to score, your Washington Wild Things 6, Schaumburg Boomers 1. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
When looking to replace your athletic field, choose ProGrass, first in turf. ProGrass is installed over 500 fields in the U.S. Getting the best artificial turf for your field depends upon both the product and the partner you choose. That's why architects, athletic directors, and players choose the ProGrass Performance System. ProGrass maintains an active presence in the field turf industry as members of the Sports Turf Management Association and the American Sports Builder Association, and is proud to be recognized as a FIFA preferred manufacturer. Call ProGrass today at 866-270-6003 or visit them on the web at www.progressturf.com. ProGrass, first in turf.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the 5th, and the score, your Washington Wild Things 6, Schaumburg Boomers 1. Last inning for the Washington Wild Things, they sent 3 men to the plate. Grant Fink walked to lead things off. Austin Wobrock would then hit into a 6-4-3 double play, and Andrew Heck grounded out to end the inning. Due up here in the bottom half of the 5th, Chris Grayson, Ricky Rodriguez, and Dave Popkins, 2, 3, and 4 against Scott Schultz. Now, Schultz is in his first year in the Independent Frontier League with the Schaumburg Boomers. His record sitting at 4-5 and a 5.18 ERA, but does have experience in minor league baseball. Pitched 2 seasons in the Arizona Diamondbacks organization, split between single A, low A, and rookie ball with the Diamondbacks. In those 2 seasons in the minors, had a combined record of 9-7 and a 4.54 ERA in 121 innings. He ended up striking out 96 in that minor league system for the Arizona Diamondbacks, 32 walks, and get 138 hits in those 121 innings. Stepping to lead things off here in the bottom of the 5th, the center fielder, Chris Grayson. Grayson so far 1 for 2, grounded out in the first and had an RBI double as part of that 6-run third inning that has given these Wild Things the 6-1 lead. Scott Schultz looking in, has his sign, he's set. Here's the pitch. And this ball lined foul off to the right. That one hits the Wild Things bullpen, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. Scott Schultz, despite giving up those 6 runs in inning number 3, was rather efficient that inning. 25 pitches to get through that inning, 15 through the 4th, And now looking here in inning number 5, no extremely high pitch counts in any of the first 4 innings. Here's the 0-1, and Grayson takes this one low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count, 25 a little higher than you want in an inning, but nothing too extreme that he can't work through. Schultz has his sign, the 1-1, and a swing and a miss there by Grayson. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count on the Wild Things center fielder. Big swing and a miss. We've seen those big swings from Grayson recently. It paid off last night as he hit his 3rd home run of the year, just clearing that right field wall, and gave the Wild Things that 2nd run they needed to eventually defeat the Boomers 2-1. Here's the 1-2, and that one's up and in for a ball. Count evens out at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 on the left-handed hitting center fielder for the Wild Things, facing off against the right-handed pitcher Scott Schultz for the Boomers. Here's the 2-2. And that one's low for a ball. Count fills up at 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2 the count through 4+ innings for Scott Schultz. He's walked 2 on the day and has struck out 2 in the ball game. Has his sign. He's set. Here's the 3-2. And this ball grounded to the right side. McClellan handles it on a hop. He'll take to the bag himself, and that's in time for out number 1. 1 up, 1 down for the Wild Things here in this bottom half of the 5th. And that brings to the plate the third baseman, Ricky Rodriguez. Rodriguez so far 2 for 2. Single in the first and hit a 2 RBI single back in inning number 3. That at that time gave the Wild Things a 3-0 lead. Their lead now sits at 6-1 over the Boomers. Schultz has his sign. He's set and the pitch on the way. And Rodriguez takes this one for a strike at the knees. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count. 1 man out here in this bottom of the 5th. Wild Things winning 2-1 last night. And in Game 1, Schaumburg defeated them 5-0. Here's the 0-1. That one's outside for a ball. Count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. So coming into today, even though the series was tied at 1, the Wild Things were actually being outscored by the Boomers 6-2 coming into today's ball game. Schultz has his sign. Here's the 1-1. That one's outside for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and a strike. And that's kind of a trend we've seen from the Wild Things all year. Their offense, not a very explosive one, although in the 3rd inning they got 6 runs. But really they've been not doing a good job with runners in scoring position this year. And that's something that all the players have said they've had to work on. This one grounded off to the left towards the Boomers' dugout. And that'll go foul. Count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2, 1 man out, bottom of the 5th. Schultz, in his 2nd deep count of the inning, went 3-2 to Chris Grayson before getting the ground out. Now 2-2 here to Ricky Rodriguez. Schultz's 2-2 offering, and a swing and a miss. Rodriguez strikes out, and that's the 2nd out of the inning. 2 up, 2 down for the Wild Things in this bottom half of the 5th, and that brings to the plate the right fielder, Dave Popkins. Popkins so far 1 for 2. Flew out in inning number 1 and singled and scored a run in inning number 3. He came around on the 3-run home run by Jimmy Yezzo. 2 men out, bottom of the 5th. 6-1 Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers. Here's Schultz's pitch. And that one's on the inside corner for a strike. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the Wild Things right fielder. Popkins has only missed 1 game this year. That was back on June the 12th during that series with the Lake Erie Crushers. Here's the 0-1. And that one's high for a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. He's played in every other game for the Washington Wild Things this season and has been out in right field in every one of those games. This is his 81st game of the season, 82 total for the Wild Things. The 1-1, that one's inside for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. 2-1 the count. That day he had off. Andrew Heck went over to right field, and former Wild Thing Nick Ferdinand was in at left. 2 balls and a strike. Scott Schultz looking into his catcher, James Keller. Schultz has his sign. Here's the 2-1. And Popkins grounding this one foul off to the right. McClellan will handle it in foul territory, but the count will go to 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 on Dave Popkins. 2 men out, bottom of the 5th, 6-1. Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers here at Consol Energy Park. Game 3 of this 3-game series. Scott Schultz looking into his catcher, has his sign, the 2-2. And that one outside and low for a ball. Count fills up to Dave Popkins now. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Along with leading the team in both homers and RBIs, Popkins also leads the team in both strikeouts and walks. 74 strikeouts and 47 walks on the year for the right fielder. The 3-2, and this one fouled back to the screen. Count remains 3 balls and 2 strikes. Popkins, a guy who likes to work deep into counts. We were talking earlier in the season. Says that's why he walks and strikes out as much as he does. Likes to look for a pitch he can drive in every at-bat. Schultz has his sign. Here's the 3-2. And Popkins pops this one up. Foul territory. James Keller going back behind the plate towards the screen, and he's going to run out of room as that one will fall into the stands. Foul, and the count remains 3 balls and 2 strikes. Keller lost the baseball at first, had no idea where it was. He had to throw off his mask and his protective helmet on his head to try to make that catch, but then he realized he ran out of room as he started sprinting towards the screen. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. 8th pitch of the at-bat coming up here between Jimmy Yezzo and Scott Schultz. Schultz has his sign, the 3-2, and this ball fouled off back into the stands as well, so the count remains 3 balls and 2 strikes. The Wild Things here in this series have been doing a very good job of fighting off pitches with 2 strikes. Wolbrock had a 14-pitch at-bat last night. 9th pitch of this at-bat coming to Dave Popkins, between Popkins and the starter Scott Schultz. Schultz has his sign, he's set, and the 3-2. And this ball fouled off by Dave Popkins. That one also going to left towards the party pavilion. Lots of kids playing out there, and the count remains 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2 the count, 2 men out, bottom of the 5th. 6-1 Wild Things lead. Jimmy Yezzo, the on-deck man, he had the 3-run home run his last time up that really broke this lead open. Schultz has his sign. Here's the 3-2 pitch. And a swing and a miss after 10 pitches in the at-bat. Popkins strikes out, and that ends the inning. 4th strikeout of the day for Scott Schultz. 1-2-3 go the Wild Things here in the 5th. And after 5 innings of play here at Consol Energy Park, the score, your Washington Wild Things 6, Schaumburg Boomers 1. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
AAA members enjoy 24/7 roadside assistance, exclusive member-only discounts, expert travel assistance, free identity theft protection, and much more. With that AAA card in your wallet or purse, you have the peace of mind, safety, and security that only AAA membership can provide. Already a member? Don't forget to renew. Not a member? Join AAA today at any nearby office or online at AAA.com. AAA, we're always with you.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the 6th, and the score, your Washington Wild Things 6, Schaumburg Boomers 1. Last inning for the Schaumburg Boomers, they would get their first run in this ball game. Mark Nelson singled to lead things off. Then Mike McClellan came through with an RBI double to the right center field gap. Those were the first 2 hits for the Boomers on the day, and that made the score 6-1. Then Michael Hill would fly out, James Keller would single, and Nick Oberg would hit into a 6-4-3 double play. That would end the inning. Due up here in the 6th, 1-2-3, Tobias Moreno, Jordan Dean, and Argeni Saldazaro facing off against Matt Frauden. Frauden so far in this one has gone 5 innings, giving up just that 1 run it was earned on a total of 3 hits, has walked 2 men in the ball game, and has struck out 3 on the night. So far, so good. His pitch count doing very well through 5 innings of work. Has only thrown 60 pitches, keeping those pitch counts under 15. 15 is the most pitches he's thrown in an inning through that last time out in the 5th. Tobias Moreno stepping in to lead things off here in the top of the 6th. 0 for 2 to this point. Here's Frauden's pitch, and Moreno fouls this one off to the left back into the seats. Count goes to no balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count. Moreno, a short Boomers career so far. This is only his 5th game of the season. Signed a couple days before the team came to Washington. Here's the 0-1. And that one bounces up to the plate. Kyle Pollock taking that one under the mask. That doesn't feel good. And the count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. Pollock pops back up. Showed some pain, but gets right back down to the crouch. One of the tougher guys on the team. Pollock takes a beating all season back there behind the plate. The 1-1. And that one's inside for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. Nature of the catching position. You're going to get a lot of foul balls hit off you, and Kyle Pollock handles it very well. There's only 1 or 2 times that we've seen him actually go down from a foul ball. The 2-1, that one fouled back into the seats, and the count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. Normally, Pollock gets hit by a pitch or hit by a foul ball. He'll get up, throw the ball back, and get back down into the crouch. He's not a guy who's going to wait and shake out an injury. He'll get right back into the game. Frauden has his sign. Here's the 2-2. And that one's inside. Moreno jumping out of the way of that one. Count fills at 3 balls and 2 strikes. There's action in the Schaumburg Boomers bullpen as Patrick Dolan, the right-hander, starts to warm up out there. Frauden has his sign. He's set, the 3-2. And this one grounded softly to third. Rodriguez handles it. He throws on to first, and that's in time for out number 1. 1 up, 1 down for the Boomers here in this top of the 6th, and that brings to the plate the second baseman, Jordan Dean. Dean so far in this ball game 0 for 1, walked in the first and struck out in inning number 4. 1 man out, top of the 6th, 6-1. Your Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers. Game 3 of this 3-game series. This homestand continues with a doubleheader on Tuesday night, 6:05 first pitch, as the Wild Things welcome in the Traverse City Beach Bums. Here's the pitch, and that one's in there for a strike in the knees. Count goes to no balls and 1 strike. For tickets to that game, go to www.washingtonwildthings.com or call the box office at 866-456-WILD. Frodden looking into Kyle Pollock, has his sign. Here's the 0-1. And this ball lined on the left field line. It's hooking, and it'll land in fair territory and bounce off the wall. Around first, heading to second is Jordan Dean. Heck will get it in, so that'll be a 1-out double for Dean. There's a runner at second with 1 man out, and that'll bring to the plate Argenis Aldazaro. Aldazaro so far is 0 for 2, flew out in the first and grounded out in inning number 4. Jordan Dean lining that one perfectly down the left field line, getting it inside that left field foul line, and he gets in there with an extra base hit. 1 man out here in the top of the 6th, and Aldazaro coming to the plate. Aldazaro's been hitting very well in this series. So far, 4 for 10, counting the 2 at-bats here today. Frodden checked second. Here's the pitch. And this one popped up by Aldazaro. Foul territory towards the Boomers bullpen. Rodriguez giving chase, and this one will land beyond the Boomers bullpen towards the party pavilion here at Consol Energy Park, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. Rodriguez giving that all the chase he could. Patrick Dolan had to step off the mound out there in the bullpen to let Rodriguez run through. No balls, 1 strike. Matt Frodden looking into Kyle Pollock. Austin Kerr, the personal protector out there for Patrick Dolan. As we said, the bullpens are in foul territory here at Consol Energy Park. Kerr warning Dolan that Rodriguez was coming. Frodden checked second. Here's the 0-1. And this ball hit foul off to the left. That'll get back into the seats as well. And the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 here on Argenis Aldazaro. Matt Frodden trying to retire him here for the second out of the inning. Aldazaro's been a tough out in this series, hitting that number 3 spot and playing in left field in all 3 games for the Schaumburg Boomers. Matt Frodden looking into Kyle Pollock. Frodden going through the signs. Has one he likes. He's set. Checks the runner at second, and the 0-2 pitch. And a swing and a miss. Frodden strikes out Aldazaro, and that's good for out number 2. Frodden's 4th strikeout of the day, and that'll bring to the plate the third baseman, Kenny Towns. Towns so far 0 for 2, grounded out in the first and struck out in inning number 4. 2 men out, top of the 6th, 6-1. Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers. Runner at second is Jordan Dean. He doubled with 1 man out. Frodden has his sign, checks him. Here's the pitch. And that one up and in, and will get Kenny Towns right on the right shoulder blade, and he'll go down to first base. So there's now 2 men on and 2 men out after the hit by pitch, and that brings to the plate the right fielder, Mark Nelson. Nelson so far on the day, 1 for 2, grounded out in the second and singled and scored a run in inning number 5. So Mark Nelson at the plate. Runners are at first and second now with 2 men out after Towns hit by that pitch. Towns the runner at first. Jordan Dean over there at second. Wild Things defense playing shifted a little bit to the right. Grant Fink out in shallow right field. Yezo playing behind the first base bag. The pitch, and that one's outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count. The Boomers scored a run in the top half of the 5th. Matt Frodden trying to keep him off the board here in the 6th. Wild Things a 5-run lead. 6 runs on 6 hits. 1 run on 4 hits for the Boomers. Here's the 1-0. And that one's in the dirt. Gets by Kyle Pollock towards the backstop, and that'll allow both runners to move up. Jordan Dean now goes to third, and Kenny Towns goes to second. So a wild pitch, and now there are runners at second and third with 2 outs and 2 men in scoring position. Frodden going to have to bear down and get Mark Nelson. Currently down 2 balls and no strikes with 2 men out. You want to pound the strike zone now and get those pitches in there to start trusting your defense. Jordan Dean at third with Kenny Towns over at second. Frodden has his sign. Here's the 2-0. And that one's just outside for a ball. Count goes to 3 balls and no strikes. And right now, Matt Frodden in danger of walking the bases loaded here against the Schaumburg Boomers in this 6th inning. Frodden looking into Kyle Pollock. Has his sign. He's set. And the 3-0. And that one's just low ball 4. A walk here. Loads the bases for the Boomers now with 2 men out. 3rd walk of the day for Matt Frodden, and that'll bring to the plate the first baseman, Mike McClellan. McClellan so far 1 for 2. Flew out in the second and hit that RBI double last inning in the 5th. Drove in the first run of the ball game for the Boomers. Drove in their only run of the game in last night's contest in the 2-1 loss to the Wild Things. So McClellan trying to come through here with the bases full of Boomers and 2 men out. With that RBI double last time up, that was Mike McClellan's 7th RBI as a Boomer. Frodden has his sign. He's set. Here's the pitch. And a check swing, and he went around, says Michael Shields. The count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 on the Schaumburg Boomers' first baseman. Runner at third, Jordan Dean. Runner at second is Kenny Towns, and the runner at first, Mark Nelson. Matt Frodden working from the stretch, looks into Kyle Pollock. Has his sign, he's set, holds at the letters, and the 0-1. And that one in the dirt, Kyle Pollock, a nice job of getting down and blocking that one. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1-1 the count. Kyle Pollock, very good defensively behind the plate. Not very many wild pitches or pass balls for him on the season. Doing a nice job back there. These pitchers can definitely trust him if they throw a breaking ball in the dirt with the runner at third. Frodden has his sign, the 1-1. And this ball fouled back behind home plate, hits off the screen, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2, 2 men out here in the top of the 6th. Frodden trying to get through 6 innings of work here. Came into this inning with only 60 pitches, so his pitch count is just fine to this point. Frodden looking in, going through the signs. Has one he likes, he's set. He holds at the letters, and the 1-2 offering. In the dirt, Kyle Pollock blocks this one. Count goes even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count. Frodden trying to get McClellan to chase a curveball there. McClellan wisely laying off. Bases full of Boomers. Jordan Dean at third. Kenny Towns at second. Mark Nelson at first. Frodden looks in. Has his sign. He's set. Checks third and the 2-2. And that one's inside for a ball. That fills the count up at 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2 the count. Michael Hill, the on-deck man, if Mike McClellan should reach base. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 men out. Frodden looking into Kyle Pollock. Has his sign, he's set. And the 3-2 pitch. And this one grounded foul off to the left towards the Boomers' dugout, so we'll do it again with a full count. 3 balls and 2 strikes. 2 men out. Matt Frodden, a big situation here in the 6th inning. You do not want to walk this man with the bases loaded, but you also don't want to give up a hit and let this inning start to snowball on you. Frodden looks in, has his sign, he's set, checks third, and the 3-2. And a swing and a ground ball to short. Wobrock handles it, and he bobbles it. Throw to first, and the recovery is in time. Jimmy Yezzo, a leaping catch. He applies the tag, and that is out number 3. 6-3 on the putout, and the inning is over. No runs in the inning for the Boomers on just 1 hit, no errors, and 3 men left on base. After 5.5 the score, your Washington Wild Things 6, Schaumburg Boomers 1. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
How does a 120-year-old company like Henderson Brothers keep up in a world that changes every minute, that keeps throwing curveballs, that flaunts new technology, that demands responsiveness? The answer is simple. With expertise. We insure the most successful corporations in the area, and they in turn recommend us. And for that, we're grateful. Henderson Brothers. Expect an expert.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the 6th, and the score, your Washington Wild Things 6, Schaumburg Boomers 1. Last inning for the Wild Things, they would go 1-2-3 against Scott Schultz as Chris Grayson grounded out, Ricky Rodriguez struck out, and Dave Popkins struck out to end the inning. Due up here in the bottom half of the 6th, Jimmy Yezzo, Kyle Pollock, and Alvaro Gonzalez, 5, 6, and 7 against Scott Schultz. Schultz so far in the day has gone 5 innings of work, giving up 6 runs, all those runs earned on 6 hits. He has walked a total of, to count up the numbers, 2 men on the day, and has struck out 4 against the Washington Wild Things. In terms of pitch count right now, he's had 2 innings where he's thrown a little more than he's liked to, and that has affected his pitch count. 85 pitches so far through 5 innings of work. Stepping to lead things off here in the bottom of the 6th, the first baseman, Jimmy Yezzo. Yezzo so far in the day, 1 for 2, a strikeout, and the big 3-run home run back in the bottom of the 3rd that really opened up this game for the Wild Things and gave them a 6-0 lead at that point. The score currently 6-1 Wild Things over the Schaumburg Boomers as Jimmy Yezzo stepping in. Yezzo's 12th home run of the year on that one. Currently 2nd on the team behind right fielder Dave Popkins. Popkins has 13. Here's the pitch, and that one's outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Jimmy Yezzo to start this bottom of the 6th. 6-1 Wild Things lead over the Boomers. Schultz has his sign, he's set, and the 1 ball, no strike offering. And that one's inside for a ball. Yezzo having to move his foot out of the way. And the count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. Jimmy Yezzo having to wear an Evo shield on that right foot, that right ankle to cover that one. He injured that one 2 Thursdays ago. That one grounded to second. Jordan Dean handles it, throws on to first, and that's in time for out number 1. 1 up, 1 down for the Wild Things here in the bottom of the 6th. And that brings to the plate the catcher Kyle Pollock. Pollock so far 0 for 2. Struck out in inning number 2 and flew out in inning number 3. 1 man out here in the bottom of the 6th as Kyle Pollock trying to get on base for the Wild Things here in this inning. Schultz has his sign, he's set, and the 2-0. Or the first pitch, that one's a called strike of the letters. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on Kyle Pollock, the primary catcher for the Wild Things. Patrick Dolan is ready in the Boomers bullpen in case he's needed. Here's Schultz 0-1, and this one ground to third. Kenny Towns handles it on a hop. He'll throw on to first, and that's in time for out number 2. 2 up, 2 down in the inning for the Wild Things here in the bottom of the 6th, and that brings to the plate the designated hitter Alvaro Gonzalez. Gonzalez so far on the day 0 for 2, popped out in the second and popped out in inning number 3. 2 men out, bottom of the 6th, 6-1. Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers here at Consol Energy Park. Game 3 of this 3-game series. Scott Schultz looking into his catcher Keller, has his sign, here's the pitch. And Gonzalez hits this one to left field. Aldazaro back to the track, to the wall, and this ball will exit stage left. Alvaro Gonzalez's first home run as a Washington Wild Thing, and it extends the lead. Your Wild Things now lead 7-1. Gonzalez's first home run of the season, and when you need an attorney to hit one out of the park for you, yo Keith. That home run brought to you by Keith Owen Campbell, attorney at law. Gonzalez takes the first pitch he sees here in this inning and drills it over the left field wall for his first home run as a Washington Wild Thing. His first professional home run, as well as the Wild Things' first professional team. Grant Fink stepping in with 2 men out. Fink go for 1. Here's the pitch, and that one's outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. Fink has popped out and walked in this ball game. Gonzalez's first home run as a Wild Thing, first of his professional career. He hit 13 home runs in his senior season with the University of New Mexico Highlands. The 1-0, and that one's in there at the letters for a strike. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count on the Wild Things second baseman. Added insurance for the Wild Things as they now lead 7-1 over the Schaumburg Boomers. Here's Schultz 1-1, and that one's outside for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. 2-1 the count here on Grant Fink, the second baseman for the Wild Things. 2 men out here in this 6th inning. Scott Schultz getting knocked around by the Wild Things in this ball game. His 7th earned run here in this inning. Here's the 2-1, and this ball popped up by Fink. Right field, going back on it is Mark Nelson. Now coming in, he'll camp under it, and he makes the catch, and that's in time for out number 3. But the Wild Things get a run in the inning on the solo home run by Alvaro Gonzalez. That was the only hit. No errors and nobody left on base. After 6 innings of play, the score, your Washington Wild Things 7, Schaumburg Boomers 1. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
Hi, this is Hines Ward. If you're a high school sports fan, the place to go all year round is the MSA Sports Network. Log on every day to www.msasports.net for the schedules, the scores, the standings, the rankings, and of course, all of the broadcasts includes exclusive Whitfield playoffs and championship action. Anytime, anywhere, always there, the MSA Sports Network.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, currently in the top of the 7th, and the score, your Wild Things 7 and the Schaumburg Boomers 1. Wild Things adding an insurance run in that bottom half of the 6th inning as Alvaro Gonzalez hit his first home run as a Washington Wild Thing, first home run as a professional to extend this Wild Things lead in the 7th inning. Last inning for the Schaumburg Boomers, they would threaten but would not score against Matt Fraud, and it all started with a ground out by Tobias Moreno. Then Jordan Dean would double with 1 man out. Argenis Aldazaro would then strike out before Kenny Towns was hit by a pitch. Mark Nelson walked, and Mike McClellan grounded out to end the inning. The bases were loaded with 2 men out. Fraud got into a 3-2 count with McClellan, but was able to get out of it and leave the deficit at that time to 5 for the Boomers. Now they're down by 6 after the solo home run by Alvaro Gonzalez. Due up here in the 7th inning is Michael Hill, James Keller, and Nick Oberg, 7, 8, and 9 against righty Matt Frodden. Frodden trying to go 7 innings for the first time in his last 3 starts. Each of his last 3 starts, he has not gone more than 6 innings. First pitch, and that one's low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. In fact, the last time Matt Frodden went 7 innings in a ball game was back on July 31st at Florence. The 1-0. That one's outside for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. So Frodden trying to get 7 today. There is no action in the Wild Things bullpen. So right now looking like manager Greg Langbeck going to let him go. Here's the 2-0. And this one grounded to the right side. Grant Fink a dive, but it's by him into right field. And that is a base hit. Leadoff single for Michael Hill here in the top of the 7th as there's a man on and nobody out, and that'll bring to the plate the catcher, James Keller. Keller so far on the day is 1 for 1, walked in inning number 3 and singled in inning number 5, and with that, there will be action in the Wild Things bullpen as guys start moving around out there. Right now, going towards the Wild Things mound is lefty Brian O'Keefe. Matt Frodden has his sign. Hill takes his lead from first, and a throw over there, and Michael Hill gets back in safely. O'Keefe has started a couple of games for the Wild Things out there in the bullpen, but mostly in bullpen duty. He's been doing very well in that spot. Frodden has his sign. He's set, and the pitch. That one's low to James Keller, and the count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count here on the Schaumburg Boomers catcher. Michael Hill is the runner over at first after the leadoff single. Hill on the year, 3 stolen bases in 53 games. Frodden has his sign. He's set, checks first, and the 1-0. And Keller takes this one low for a ball. Count now going to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count. Nobody out here in the top of the 7th. 7-1. Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers here in Game 3 of this 3-game series. Matt Frodden looking into Kyle Pollock. Has his sign. He's set. And the 2-0. Throw over to first again, and Michael Hill again back in there. Frodden paying attention to Michael Hill. Doesn't want a runner to get to second with nobody out. Even though the Wild Things have this 6-run lead, you want to control the number of runners in scoring position that you have over the day. Frodden's 2-0, and that one's outside for a ball, so the count now swelling to 3 balls and no strikes. Frodden today has walked 3 men in this ball game. As we said, walks have kind of hurt him in these last couple games. So trying to avoid the walk here, has his sign, and the 3-0. And that one's inside ball 4. A 4-pitch walk, so the first 2 men reach for the Boomers here in the top of inning number 7. They have runners at first and second with nobody out, and the shortstop Nick Oberg coming to the plate. Oberg so far 0 for 2. He's hitting the 2 double plays on the day. The first was on a sacrifice bunt, and the second was a routine double play ball right to Austin Wobrock. Frodden would love one of those if he could get it here. Ricky Rodriguez playing in on the grass at third. Frodden set. Here's the pitch. And Oberg takes this one low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count. Manager Greg Langbeck getting towards the top of the Wild Things steps as he's checking on Brian O'Keefe out there in the bullpen. No bullpen cell phones here like you have in the major leagues, so the manager having to use signals to get his guys warmed up. The 1-0, and a big swing and a miss there by Oberg. Count evens out at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count. Matt Frodden looking for a ground ball. Ricky Rodriguez in on the grass. It's the only really defensive change for the Wild Things. Everyone else playing pretty straight up and at their normal position. Jezzo playing behind the runner at first. Wobrock and Grant Fink playing back in double play depth. Michael Hill takes his lead from second. James Keller his lead from first. Frodden set, checks Hill, and the 1-1. That one's it. That was actually a called strike on the inside corner. Oberg jumping out of the way of that one, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Saw that a lot in his at bat last night in the top of the 9th against Devin Davis. Jumped out of the way of 3 straight pitches. 2 of those pitches were called strikes. In the last one was the strike 3 in that at bat. The 1-2, and this ball hit towards right field. Dave Popkins coming in. He's going to make the catch, and that's good for out number 1. Michael Hill fakes like he's going to go to third, but goes back to second base. So the runners stay at first and second, with 1 man out in the inning, and that brings to the plate the center fielder Tobias Moreno. Moreno so far 0 for 3 in this game. Grounded out in the first, struck out in inning number 3, and grounded out in inning number 6. 1 man out here in the top of the 7th as Frodden trying to get through 7 innings for the first time since July 31st. Patrick Dolan still in the Schaumburg Boomers bullpen. Dolan has been warming up since the 5th inning. Frodden checks second. Here's the pitch. And this ball hit foul back to the screen. Count goes to no balls and a strike on Moreno. 0-1 the count with Dolan getting up here with one man out. We have likely seen the end of starter Scott Schultz. Schultz gave up 7 runs so far in this ball game in 6 innings of work. Frodden looks into his catcher Kyle Pollock, going through the signs, has one he likes. He's set, checks the runner at second. Here's the 0-1. This ball grounded right back to the mound. Frodden to third for one, on to first, and it's not in time for the double play. So a fielder's choice on that one. 1-5 on the putout as Moreno reaches first. James Keller moves up to second, and Michael Hill is eliminated at third base. So the runners are still at first and second with 2 men out, and that'll bring to the plate the second baseman, Jordan Dean. Dean so far 1 for 2, walked in the first, struck out in inning number 4, and doubled in inning number 6. Runners are at first and second, 2 men out for the Boomers. Frodden has his sign, checks second, and the pitch on the way. And a swing and a miss there by Jordan Dean. Count goes to no balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count here on the Schaumburg Boomers. Second baseman has played all 12 games this season between these two teams at that second base position. Frodden looking in. Has his sign, he's set. And the 0-1 offering. A check to second, here it comes. And a swing and a miss and a ball outside, and the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 here on Jordan Dean. 2 men out, top of the 7th, 7-1. The Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers. Matt Frodden looking onto his catcher Kyle Pollock has gone 6 2/3. It's the most he's gone in his last 3 starts. Frodden has his sign, he's set. And the 0-2. Outside for a ball, couldn't get Jordan Dean to chase that one. And the count now going to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count with 2 men out here in this top of the 7th inning. Frodden looking into Kyle Pollock. James Keller takes his lead from second. Tobias Moreno takes the lead from first. Here's the 1-2. Swinging a ground ball to second. Grant Fink handles on a hop, spins, throws to first, and that's in time for out number 3. No runs in the inning for the Boomers on 1 hit, no errors, and 2 men left on base. After 6.5, the score, your Washington Wild Things 7, Schaumburg Boomers 1. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
Enjoy shopping and dining at one of Ohio Valley Mall's 100 merchants, including Boscov's, MC Sports, Hibbett Sports, Pat Catan's, Christopher and Banks, Men's Warehouse, and many more. Check out the new Buckle Store. And coming soon, Buffalo Wild Wings. If the little ones need a break, head to the Kids Zone, sponsored by Ohio Valley Medical Center and East Ohio Regional Hospital, your community hospitals.
PA Leadership Charter School is a proud sponsor of the Washington Wild Things. PALCS is a tuition-free online public school for K-12 students. PALCS can help your child hit a home run in their education through flexibility, student-to-teacher interaction, and socialization opportunities. Go to PALCS.org for more information. Go Wild Things!
PA Leadership Charter School, lead, don't follow.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the 7th, and the score, your Washington Wild Things 7 and the Schaumburg Boomers 1. New pitcher on the mound for the Schaumburg Boomers as it's right-hander Patrick Dolan. Dolan so far on the year for Schaumburg has a record, as I look it up, has a record of 0-1 with a 3.09 ERA, appearing in his 25th game. Has thrown 32 innings of work, giving up 12 runs, 11 of those earned on 28 hits. Has struck out 31 and walked 12 in those 32 innings of work. The final line for the starter, Scott Schultz. Schultz goes 6 innings in this one, gives up 7 runs, all of them earned on 7 hits, walked 2 and struck out 4. Took him 95 pitches to get through 6 innings of work. So Patrick Dolan on. Up to face him here in the bottom of the 7th, Austin Wobrock, Andrew Heck, and Chris Grayson, with your Wild Things leading 7-1 here in this ball game. Wobrock stepping in to lead things off. 1 for 2 to this point. Singled and scored a run as part of that 6-run third inning, and then hit into a double play his last time up in inning number 4. Dolan looks in, has his sign, the pitch, and Wobrock fouls this one off to the left. Count goes to no balls and 1 strike. Patrick Dolan's first appearance here in this 3-game series with the Washington Wild Things. So Dolan on the mound, in for Scott Schultz. Righty on lefty matchup. Dolan facing off against Austin Wobrock. Dolan looks into James Keller, has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And that one's in there for a strike. Count now going to no balls and 2 strikes. Dolan, a veteran to independent baseball, started his career with the Evansville Otters in 2012. Had no record in each of those seasons. 5 career games with the Evansville Otters. Last year, played for the Rockford Aviators, the 0-2. This one ground to the right side and foul, so the count remains no balls and 2 strikes. The Aviators no longer a part of the Frontier League. Last year with the Aviators went 3-4 in 43 games, a 3.91 ERA. And this year with the Boomers so far, 0-1 in 24 games with a 3.09 ERA. Has his sign, he's set in the 0-2. And this ball lined to left field and pretty deep. Aldazaro going back to the track nearing the wall, and he'll make the catch at the base of the wall. And that's in time for out number 1. 1 up, 1 down for the Wild Things here in this bottom of the 7th. And that brings to the plate the left fielder Andrew Heck. Heck so far 0 for 2. Has grounded out twice and walked and scored a run in this ball game. 1 man out, bottom of the 7th, 7-1. Your Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers. Game 3 of this 3-game series. Righty on righty matchup. Patrick Dolan looking in. Has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And Heck takes this one for a strike on the outside corner. No balls and a strike. Dolan's last time out was against the Lake Erie Crushers on August 12th. Only went a third of an inning in that one. Gave just 1 run on 2 hits. Walked 1 and struck out a man. Dolan has his sign. Here's the 0-1. And that one's high for a ball. 1 ball and 1 strike. Patrick Dolan has not given up an earned run in a game, however, since July 28th when he faced off against Gateway. Dolan has his sign, he's set, holds at the belt, and the 1-1. And that one's in there for a strike on the outside corner. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Now, Dolan, a very unique style on the mound. He looks in to get his sign, and then when he's ready, he holds to the belt and just looks over towards third base. Doesn't look at home plate until right before he's going to throw the pitch. The 1-2, and this ball hit the center field. Coming in on it is Tobias Moreno, and he slides and makes the catch. And that's in time for out number 2. Moreno kind of misjudged that one off the bat and had to recover to make a nice sliding catch there for out number 2. 2 up, 2 down for the Wild Things here in the bottom of the 7th. And that brings to the plate the center fielder, Chris Grayson. Grayson so far 1 for 3. Grounded out in the first, hit an RBI double and scored a run in the third. And grounded out in inning number 5. 2 men out here in the bottom of the 7th. Patrick Dolan looking for a 1-2-3 inning. Brian O'Keefe continues to warm up out in the Wild Things bullpen. Dolan looking into James Keller. Has his sign, he's set. And the pitch on the way. Grayson takes this one on the outside corner for a strike, and the count goes to no balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count here on the Wild Things center fielder, batting left-handed against the right-handed pitcher, Patrick Dolan. No balls, 1 strike, 2 men out. Dolan has his sign, he's set, and the 0-1. A check swing there by Grayson, but he went around, says Michael Shields, and the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 here on the Wild Things center fielder, trying to get on with 2 men out and help the Wild Things extend their already big lead. They currently lead by 6 here in this ball game. Dolan has his sign, he's set, and the 0-2 offering. And a swing and a miss. Grayson strikes out, and that will end the inning. Dolan's first strikeout of the day. 1-2-3 go the Wild Things here in the 7th, and after 7 innings of play, the score. Your Washington Wild Things 7, Schaumburg Boomers 1. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
You just never know how your day is going to go. The same holds true at Penn Station East Coast Subs. For some unsuspecting spuds, they start their day as Idaho potatoes, only to be transformed into hand-hewn fries. Unlucky for them, good for you. However, both your days get better because the fries get a sidle up next to a perfectly grilled Philly cheesesteak. Then, on their way to their final resting place, they get bathed in citric nectar, our signature lemonade. Wherever your day takes you, we recommend Penn Station be one of the stops.
AAA members enjoy 24/7 roadside assistance, exclusive member-only discounts, expert travel assistance, free identity theft protection, and much more. With that AAA card in your wallet or purse, you have the peace of mind, safety, and security that only AAA membership can provide. Already a member? Don't forget to renew. Not a member? Join AAA today at any nearby office or online at AAA.com. AAA, we're always with you.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the 8th, and the score, your Washington Wild Things 7 and the Schaumburg Boomers 1. New pitcher on for the Washington Wild Things as it'll be lefty Brian O'Keefe. O'Keefe so far in the year, a record of 2-1, a 5.00 ERA, appearing in his 21st game, has made 3 starts this year. He's thrown 36 innings of work, giving up 22 runs, 20 of them earned on 38 hits, struck out 33, and walked 10 on the day. So O'Keefe, the new pitcher. Final line for Matt Fraud in here in this one. Fraud ends up going 7 innings, giving up 1 run. It was earned on 5 hits, walked 3, and struck out 4. Ended up throwing 83 pitches in the ballgame to get through his 7 innings. And that's a very good outing for Matt Frauden so far. His last couple times out through 115 and 105 pitches consecutively in those last 2 starts. So 83 here today as manager Greg Langben pulls him after 7. Due up to lead things off against Brian O'Keefe here in the 8th inning. Our Henny Saldazaro. It'll be 3-4-5. Aldazaro, Kenny Towns, and Mark Nelson. Here's O'Keefe's pitch. And this one taken outside for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count. Now O'Keefe, that 5.00 ERA, somewhat misconstrued as he's done very good work out of the bullpen for the Washington Wild Things. He had 2 bad starts, one against the River City Rascals and another against the Evansville Otters, and that's really tainted his outing so far this year. Here's the 1-1. This one hit towards right center field. Chris Grayson coming in on it. He'll make the catch, and that's in time for out number 1. 1 up, 1 down for the Schaumburg Boomers here in the top of the 8th, and that'll bring to the plate the third baseman, Kenny Towns. Towns so far on the day is 0 for 2, grounded out, struck out, and was hit by a pitch in his last at-bat. So O'Keefe on for this 8th inning, gets that first out pretty easily here in this game. O'Keefe has his sign, the pitch. This one grounded to third. Ricky Rodriguez handles it on a hop. He'll throw on to first, and that's in time for out number 2. So quickly, 2 up, 2 down for O'Keefe in the top of the 8th, and that brings to the plate the right fielder, Mark Nelson. Nelson so far 1 for 2, grounded out in the 2nd, singled and scored in the 5th, and walked in inning number 6. Now, as we said, Brian O'Keefe has been very good out of the bullpen for these Washington Wild Things. Last 2 outings have been scoreless. Pitched the third last inning out against the Schaumburg Boomers on Friday night in the 5-0 loss, and then the time before that, an inning against Traverse City. Brian O'Keefe has his sign. He's set, and the pitch. And that one's a called strike in the knees. Count goes to no balls and a strike here on Mark Nelson. But when O'Keefe has come out of the bullpen, he's been very good. The most runs he's given up out of the bullpen is 3 runs, and 3 runs total, and that, was back on May 29th at Schaumburg. No balls, 2 strikes now as he gets the next pitch by Mark Nelson. 0-2 the count, 2 men out. O'Keefe has his sign. Here's the pitch. And that one in the dirt is Kyle Pollock having to block that one. Count now going to 1 ball and 2 strikes. There is action in the Schaumburg Boomers bullpen, as out there right now is right-hander Kurt Lipscomb warming up to come in for the 9th. O'Keefe has his sign, the 1-2. And this one hit to center field. Chris Grayson going over, and he dives and makes the catch. What a catch by Chris Grayson. And that ends the inning. Running to his left, sprawling out, and making the catch. That puts a capper on the 1-2-3 inning by the Schaumburg Boomers. They go 1-2-3 in the 8th. After 7.5 the score, your Washington Wild Things 7, Schaumburg Boomers 1. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
When looking to replace your athletic field, choose ProGrass, first in turf. ProGrass has installed over 500 fields in the U.S. Getting the best artificial turf for your field depends upon both the product and the partner you choose. That's why architects, athletic directors, and players choose the ProGrass Performance System. ProGrass maintains an active presence in the field turf industry as members of the Sports Turf Management Association and the American Sports Builder Association, and is proud to be recognized as a FIFA preferred manufacturer. Call ProGrass today at 866-270-6003 or visit them on the web at www.progressturf.com. ProGrass, first in turf.
How does a 120-year-old company like Henderson Brothers keep up in a world that changes every minute, that keeps throwing curveballs, that flaunts new technology, that demands responsiveness? The answer is simple. With expertise. We insure the most successful corporations in the area, and they in turn recommend us. And for that, we're grateful. Henderson Brothers. Expect an expert.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the 8th, and the score, your Washington Wild Things 7 and the Schaumburg Boomers 1. New pitcher on for the Schaumburg Boomers. It'll be right-hander Kurt Lipscomb. Lipscomb enters this one with a record of 0-1, one save on the season, a 6.65 ERA, appearing in his 13th game, has made one start in the year. He's gone 24 and a third innings of work, giving him 20 runs, 18 of them earned on 36 hits, struck out 12, and walked 7 so far on the season. The final line for the reliever, Patrick Dolan. Dolan goes a scoreless inning of work, not giving up a hit, not walking anybody, and striking out 1, getting the Wild Things 1-2-3. Due up to lead things off against Lipscomb here in the bottom of the 8th will be the third baseman, Ricky Rodriguez. Rodriguez so far on the day is 2 for 3, 2 RBI single in the third, and a single in inning number 1. He's also struck out in the ball game. Nobody out here in the bottom of the 8th. Lipscomb has his sign the pitch, and this one grounded to third. Kenny Towns will handle it. Now he bobbles it, and that'll allow Rodriguez to reach base. It was a slow roller that Towns had to charge on, so we'll see if they give him an error on that one, or if they give Rodriguez a hit. They're going to give him an error, so it's an E5 on Kenny Towns, and that'll allow the leadoff man to reach base here in the bottom of the 8th. So Rodriguez on first with nobody out, and Dave Popkins coming to the plate. Popkins so far 1 for 3. Kurt Lipscomb looking in. Lipscomb has his sign. He's set. Checks Rodriguez at first, and the pitch on the way. This one is a called strike on the outside corner, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 on Dave Popkins, leads the Wild Things in the RBI category. Popkins not happy about that called strike at all, as he looks back at home plate umpire Michael Shields questioning that one. Rodriguez takes his lead from first. Lipscomb has his sign. He's set. Here's the 0-1. And a slow roller off to the left, but that'll go foul, and the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count on the Wild Things right fielder. Nobody out here in the bottom of the 8th. Leadoff man Rodriguez reaching base on the error by third baseman Kenny Towns. No balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. 7-1 Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers. Kurt Lipscomb looking in. Lipscomb has his sign. He's set, and the 0-2 offering. And Popkins checks his swing, but it's a called strike 3 by Michael Shields behind the plate. That's the first out here in the bottom of the 8th. So 1 away for the Wild Things. Still have that runner at first, and that brings to the plate the first baseman, Jimmy Yezzo. Yezzo so far 1 for 3. Struck out in the second, that big 3-run homer in inning number 3, and grounded out in inning number 6. 1 man out here in the bottom of the 8th. Rodriguez over at first. He reached on an error. Lipscomb has his sign. He's set, and the pitch on the way. Yezzo takes this one way outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count on the Wild Things first baseman. As we said, wearing that Evo shield on that right foot. Injured his ankle 2 Thursdays ago against the Lake Erie Crushers here at Consol Energy Park. He's been playing ever since that series started with Traverse City during the week. That ball fouled back into the seats off and left, and the count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count on the Wild Things first baseman, Jimmy Yezzo. Kurt Lipscomb out there for his first inning of work for the Schaumburg Boomers. Lipscomb was signed earlier this year by Schaumburg. Has his sign. He's set in the 1-1. And Yezzo takes this one in dirt, gets away from James Keller, and that'll allow Rodriguez to move up to second. Wild pitch there on Kurt Lipscomb. And now there's a runner at second with 1 man out here in this bottom of the 8th inning. Yezzo at the plate. Picked up RBIs 34, 35, and 36 with that 3-run home run. Still good for second on the team behind Dave Popkins. Popkins has 43 RBIs on the season. Lipscomb made his Boomers debut back on June 15th against Traverse City. He won an inning and gave up a run in that ball game. Lipscomb has his sign. He's set, and the 2-1 offering. And that one's outside for a ball. Count now going to 3 balls and a strike. 3-1 the count on Jimmy Yezzo. Last time Lipscomb faced off against the Wild Things, he pitched a scoreless inning back on July the 9th, giving up just 1 hit. Lipscomb looks in, has his sign. He's set, checks second, and the 3-1. And this ball popped up center field. Tobias Moreno going back on. Had a little bit more carry than I thought, but Moreno will still camp under it and make the catch for out number 2. Tagging and moving to third is Ricky Rodriguez on the play. So now there's a runner at third and 2 men out, and that'll bring to the plate the catcher Kyle Pollock. Pollock so far 0 for 3. Struck out in the second, flew out in the third, and grounded out in inning number 6. 2 men out here in the bottom of the 8th. 7-1. Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers. Pollock at the plate. Pollock, the primary catcher for the Washington Wild Things, doesn't get many days off as Steve Solkowski caught last on Wednesday against the Traverse City Beach Bums. Lipscomb has his sign. Here's the pitch. And Pollock takes this one for a strike on the inside corner. Count goes to no balls and a strike. Pollock, a product of the Kansas City Royals organization, played in Single A for the Royals a year ago before joining the Wild Things this season. Lipscomb has his sign. Here's the 0-1. And Pollock ground ball left side, and that's a base hit. That's going to add an insurance run as Rodriguez comes in to score, and the Wild Things extend their lead to 8-1. RBI single by Kyle Pollock, his 13th RBI of the year, and it's 8-1 Wild Things. Rodriguez comes in to score. That run is unearned to Kurt Lipscomb as Ricky Rodriguez had reached on that error by Kenny Towns in the beginning of the inning. Alvaro Gonzalez stepping in right now. Gonzalez 1 for 3. Popped out in the second, popped out in the third, and hit that solo home run back in the sixth. Lipscomb's pitch, and Gonzalez takes this one inside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 8 runs on the day for the Wild Things on 8 hits, no errors. 1 run on 6 hits, and no errors for the Boomers. Lipscomb has his sign. He's set, and the 1-0. And that one's in there for a strike on the outside corner. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. There is 1 error for the Schaumburg Boomers committed this inning by Kenny Towns. Looking in is Kurt Lipscomb. Has his sign. He's set. Checks first, and the 1-1. And Gonzalez hitting this one off to the right. That'll get back into the bleacher seats here at Consol Energy Park. And the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2, 2 men out here in the bottom of the 8th. Wild Things adding an insurance run. They lead 8-1 over the Schaumburg Boomers. Alvaro Gonzalez at the plate. Righty on righty matchup. Looking in is Lipscomb. Has his sign. He's set. Checks first. And the 1-2. And swinging a line drive at Jordan Dean. He drops it. Throw to first, however, on the recovery is in time. And that is out number 3. 6-3 on the putout. And that ends the inning. The Wild Things do get a run in the inning, however, on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 man left on base. After 8 innings of play, the score, your Washington Wild Things 8 and the Schaumburg Boomers 1. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
Hi, this is Hines Ward. If you're a high school sports fan, the place to go all year round is the MSA Sports Network. Log on every day to www.msasports.net for the schedules, the scores, the standings, the rankings, and of course, all of the broadcasts includes exclusive Whitfield playoffs and championship action. Anytime, anywhere, always there, the MSA Sports Network.
Enjoy shopping and dining at one of Ohio Valley Mall's 100 merchants, including Boscov's, MC Sports, Hibbett Sports, Pat Catan's, Christopher & Banks, Men's Warehouse, and many more. Check out the new Buckle Store. And coming soon, Buffalo Wild Wings. If the little ones need a break, head to the Kids Zone, sponsored by Ohio Valley Medical Center and East Ohio Regional Hospital, your community hospitals.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the 9th, and the score, your Washington Wild Things 8 and the Schaumburg Boomers 1. New pitcher on for the Washington Wild Things. It'll be right-hander Andrew Wick. Wick so far in the year, a record of 2-1, 4 saves, a 3.85 ERA. Appearing in his 30th game, has thrown 35 innings of work, giving up 20 runs, 15 of them earned on 24 hits, 15 walks, and 34 strikeouts. The final line for Brian O'Keefe. He went an inning, did not give up a run on no hits, did not walk anybody, and did not strike anybody out. So a good outing of relief for Brian O'Keefe. Andrew Wick on for the 9th. Wick started the 9th last inning, could only get 1 out in the inning before loading the bases and having to turn the ball game over to Devin Davis. Davis was picked up his 6th save of the year, striking out both Nick Oberg and Tobias Moreno to end that ball game and give the Wild Things their 40th win of the year. Wild Things currently looking for win number 41 here today and a series victory against the Schaumburg Boomers. If they could get the win, they would be back at 500 with an even record at 41-41. Taking a look at the scoreboard around the league to see how this would impact the Wild Things. Right now in Normal, Illinois, the Southern Illinois Miners have a 6-5 lead. If the Illinois Miners hold on in the top of the 3rd that game, the Wild Things would be a half game back if they could pull off this victory. Stepping in to lead things off here in the top of the 9th, Mike McClellan. Will be McClellan, Hill, and Keller, the 6, 7, 8 men against Andrew Wick. Wick has his sign. He's set, and the pitch on the way. And this ball grounded softly to the left side and foul. Count goes to no balls and 1 strike. 0-1 the count on the first baseman for the Schaumburg Boomers. McClellan has been at first base for all 3 games here in this series as Paul Kroenfeld is resting an injured left arm. He did pinch hit last night, but would just walk in the game. Wick has his sign. He's set, and the 0-1. And that one comes up and in and hits Mike McClellan right on the elbow. So Wick hits the first man he faces out of the bullpen, and there's a runner at first with nobody out. That pitch coming up and getting McClellan right on the elbow. He fires his bat to the Boomers' dugout and then walks over to first. That'll bring up the designated hitter, Michael Hill. Hill so far 1 for 3, grounded out in the second, flew out in the fifth, and singled in inning number 7. Runner at first, nobody out for the Boomers here in the top of the ninth. 8-1 Wild Things lead over Schaumburg here at Consol Energy Park. Andrew Wick has his sign. Here's the pitch, and this one swung on and missed by Michael Hill. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the designated hitter for the Schaumburg Boomers. Has been facing right-handers all day, so he's been batting from the left side, the switch hitter for Schaumburg. Andrew Wick looking in, the right-hander. Wick in his first year with the Wild Things. Checks the runner at first, has his sign, he's set, and the 0-1 offering. And this ball fouled off back into the seats off to the left side. Count goes to 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes. Wick last season pitched in the Tampa Bay Rays organization in rookie ball with the Rays. No balls, 2 strikes. Nobody out. Wick, as we said, appeared in last night's ball game. Just got 1 out in the game. And in that outing, ended up walking 2 and not striking anybody out. The 0-2, and that one's low for a ball. Count goes to 1-2. Wick trying to get Michael Hill to chase a curveball in the dirt, but Hill not going here with nobody out in the top of the ninth. 8-1 Wild Things lead. Andrew Wick looking in, going through the signs with Kyle Pollock. Checks first, has one he likes. He's set, holds at the belt, and the 1-2 offering. And that one's a called strike 3. Michael Shields calls Michael Hill out on strikes, and that's out number 1 here in the top of the ninth. 1 man away for the Boomers. They still have that runner at first as Mike McClellan was hit by a pitch, and that'll bring to the plate the catcher, James Keller. Keller so far 1 for 1, walked in the third, singled in the fifth, and walked in inning number 7. 1 man out, top of the ninth. 8-1, your Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers. The runner at first is Mike McClellan. McClellan hit by a pitch to lead things off here in this inning before the Michael Hill strikeout. This will be the last time the Wild Things see the Schaumburg Boomers here in the regular season. Actually, a pinch hitter as Jack Cockrum, the backup catcher, will pinch hit for James Keller. Andrew Wick has his sign. He's set in the pitch, and that one's low for a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cockrum making his first appearance here in this series as he pinch hits for Keller. Keller finishes the day 1 for 1. Andrew Wick looking in, has his sign. He's set, and the 1-0 offering. And this one swung on and missed by Cockrum. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count here on the backup catcher for the Schaumburg Boomers, Jack Cockrum. Runner at first is Mike McClellan. 1 ball, 1 strike. Andrew Wick has his sign. He's set, and the 1-1. And that one's outside for a ball. Count now going to 2 balls and a strike on Cockrum. So James Keller finishes his night behind the plate. Cockrum, his first appearance for the Boomers here in this series so far in the year for Cockrum. He actually does not have any stats, so this is his first appearance as a Schaumburg Boomer. Here's the 2-1, and this ball popped up to right field. Dave Popkins coming in on it. Grant Fink going out. Popkins will make the basket catch, and that's in time for out number 2. So Cockrum flies out in his first Boomers at bat. There are now 2 outs here in the top of the ninth, and that brings to the plate the shortstop, Nick Oberg. Oberg so far is 0 for 3, hitting the 2 double plays, and has flown out on the day. 2 men out. Andrew Wick trying to get the Wild Things back to 500 and trying to pick up their 41st win of the season. Wild Things sitting at 41-41. Wick checks his runner at first, McClellan. McClellan has a huge lead out there. He'll take off. Here's the pitch, and that one's fouled off. Count goes to no balls and 1 strike. Wild Things not caring about the runner at first. They're up by 7 right now, so McClellan could literally walk to second base before Wick throws the ball, and no one would throw over there. No balls and a strike. McClellan again taking that big lead over there at first. Andrew Wick checks him, has his sign, he's set. Wild Things not even holding him on with 2 outs. Here's the 0-1. And this ball hit towards left field. Andrew Heck coming in. He will make the catch, and you can put it in the books. Your Wild Things win. Final score 8-1 over the Schaumburg Boomers. Wild Things get the series win here at Consol Energy Park to start this 10-game homestand. The winning pitcher, Matt Frodden, improves to 7-6. The loser, Scott Schultz, he falls to 4-6 on the season. Wild Things get the 8-1 win. Keep it tuned right here to the MSA Sports Network. We'll be right back with the Washington Wild Things postgame show. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
PA Leadership Charter School is a proud sponsor of the Washington Wild Things. PALCS is a tuition-free online public school for K-12 students. PALCS can help your child hit a home run in their education through flexibility, student-to-teacher interaction, and socialization opportunities. Go to PALCS.org for more information. Go Wild Things!
PA Leadership Charter School. Lead, don't follow.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Final score here at Consol Energy Park. Your Wild Things get the series win against Schaumburg as they win 8-1 here in Game 3 of this 3-game series. I'm Zach Ziegler here on the MSA Sports Network. A great game for the Wild Things here tonight. Their big inning coming in inning number 3. They scored 6 runs in the inning. Scoring recap for you, and that was the first runs of the ball game. Austin Wobrock would single with one man out. Grant Fink popped out to start the inning. Then Andrew Heck would walk to put runners at first and second, one man out for the Wild Things. And then Chris Grayson bloops a ball in the shallow left field for an RBI double. Wobrock comes in to score, and the Wild Things take a 1-0 lead. Next batter, Ricky Rodriguez. He hit a bloop ball into right field. It fell for a single. Heck and Grayson would both score, and the Wild Things took a 3-0 lead. Next batter, Dave Popkins would single. And then the big blow in the inning for your Wild Things. Jimmy Yezzo came to the plate and hit a 3-run home run off the scoreboard out here in right field at Consol Energy Park. That gave the Wild Things a 6-0 lead. All 6 runs were earned in that third inning. Kyle Pollock flew out and Alvaro Gonzalez popped out to end the inning. Schaumburg would get on the board in the top half of the 5th. Mark Nelson singled to lead things off, and then Mike McClellan came through with an RBI double. Nelson would score all the way from first, and that cut the Wild Things lead to 6-1 at that point. Michael Hill would then fly out. James Keller would single, and Nick Oberg would hit into a 6-4-3 double play to end the inning. That was the only offense that Schaumburg could muster on the day. They did threaten a couple times. They threatened in the top of the 6th against Matt Frodden. Tobias Moreno would ground out to lead things off. Then Jordan Dean would double before Henny Saldazaro struck out. Then Kenny Towns was hit by a pitch, and Mark Nelson walked to load the bases with 2 men out. But then Matt Frodden battled with Mike McClellan, got to a full count before getting McClellan to ground out to end that 6th inning. Then in the bottom half of the 6th, the Wild Things would repay him for getting out of that jam. Jimmy Yezzo grounded out to lead things off. Then Kyle Pollock would ground out before Alvaro Gonzalez came through with his first professional home run. His first home run as a Wild Thing as well, and that gave the Wild Things a 7-1 lead. Next batter, Grant Fink, would fly out to end the inning. Wild Things would add on again in the bottom half of the 8th. Ricky Rodriguez reached on an error to lead things off. Dave Popkins struck out. Jimmy Yezzo flew out. There was a runner at second then, with 2 men out before Kyle Pollock came through with an RBI single. Pollock's 13th RBI of the year, and that gave the Wild Things an 8-1 lead in this ball game. Alvaro Gonzalez would ground out to end the inning. Top of the 9th, Andrew Wick coming in looking to rebound from last night where he had to be taken out with the bases loaded and just 1 man out. This time he comes through. He hit the first pitch, Mike McClellan. Hit the first man, Mike McClellan, with a pitch. Then Michael Hill struck out. Jack Cockrum in his first Wild Things appearance would fly, or Schaumburg Boomers appearance, would fly out, and Nick Oberg would fly out to end the game. Wild Things getting the 8-1 victory over the Schaumburg Boomers. They're back at 500. Their record at 41-41. Going to go through the totals now for the victorious Wild Things. They improved to 41-41 with the win. They got 7 runs on the day on a total of 8 hits and did not commit an error. Their winning pitcher, Matt Frodden. Frodden is now 7-6. He went 7 innings. He had 1 run. It was earned on 5 hits, walked 3, and struck out 4 through 100 pitches exactly on the day. For the Schaumburg Boomers, they fall to 37-48. They had 1 run on the day on a total of 5 hits and committed one error in the ball game. Their loser was Scott Schultz. Schultz falls to 4-6. He went 6 innings, gave up 7 runs, all of them earned on 7 hits, walked 2, and struck out 4. Took him 95 pitches to get through those 6 innings of work. With the win for your Washington Wild Things, they are now just a game out of that second wild card spot here in the Frontier League. And as we take a look at some scores from around the league here in the Frontier League, a full slate of action here on this Sunday afternoon. Couple of finals in. The Lake Erie Crushers defeated the Traverse City Beach Bums 3-2 today at Traverse City in game 1 of the doubleheader. Game's going on right now. Currently, that second game of that doubleheader is in the bottom of the second. Traverse City leads Lake Erie 4-0. Some other games going on around the league. In O'Fallon, Missouri, the River City Rascals and Windy City Thunderbolts are tied at 6. The Rascals are a half game above the Wild Things in that race for the second wild card spot. In Normal, Illinois, the Southern Illinois Miners are handling the Normal Corn Belters 6-5. That game currently in the bottom of the third. If the Southern Illinois Miners can hold on to win that one, the Wild Things would just be a half game out of that second wild card spot. Also in Evansville, Indiana, at Bosse Field, the Evansville Otters are handling the Florence Freedom 5-1. Currently in the top of the first in Gateway, Illinois, Gateway Grizzlies and Joliet are scoreless at that point. So that's your out-of-town scoreboard here in the Frontier League. Wild Things win tonight, 8-1, the final here at Consol Energy Park. Your Washington Wild Things player of the game here in this one. So many offensive performances here in this one, but I'm going to give it to the guy who broke the game open, Jimmy Yezzo, a 3-run home run in the third inning, went 1 for 4 on the day. It was his 12th home run of the year, currently second on the Wild Things team in that category, and that really put the Wild Things ahead, and they would never look back as they won 8-1 here in this ball game. Another home run provided by Alvaro Gonzalez, and the last run coming in was an RBI single by Kyle Pollock. But Jimmy Yezzo gets your Washington Wild Things player of the game here in this game 3 of the 3-game series with the Schaumburg Boomers. Wild Things end up taking 2 of 3 from the Schaumburg Boomers, and that's what you want. Just keep winning series as this playoff race winds down. Wild Things just 1 game out of that second wild card spot here today. Your next Washington Wild Things broadcast will be Tuesday night, 6:05 first pitch, as we have a doubleheader for you between the Traverse City Beach Bums and your Washington Wild Things. Game 1 starters for the Beach Bums. It'll be Augie Gallardo, who made his professional debut earlier this week against the Washington Wild Things. He'll take on Luke Wilkins in Game 1, and in Game 2 of that doubleheader, it'll be Kramer Champlin for the Beach Bums facing off against Matt Snyder. So that doubleheader coming up on Tuesday, 6:05 first pitch, can be heard right here on the MSA Sports Network. Wild Things win Game 3 of this 3-game series, 8-1, and they're back at 500 with a record of 41-41. So a big series coming up with Traverse City, and then later in this homestand, the Wild Things see the Joliet Slammers, who currently lead the Frontier League East. A big chance for the Wild Things there to possibly take over the division here in the Frontier League East, and it would really help them in terms of playoff positioning. But we'll wait for that one for the weekend. Till next time, Tuesday, 6:05, a doubleheader with the Traverse City Beach Bums. Wild Things win 8-1 here today, and I'm Zach Ziegler saying have a good night and have a good off day tomorrow. I'll talk to you on Tuesday at 6:05, right back here at Consol Energy Park. Have a good night, everybody.
MSA Sports. Press 1 to resume or 3 to end broadcast. Your broadcast has been ended.